Always Mike is Right from The Others Gang, and Venkat, the progressive producer extraordinaire, dives deep into controversial topics that shape our global stage.
With sharp insights and unfiltered discussions,
they explore the complex narratives of past and present political dilemmas that affect us all.
They're eating the dogs.
Each episode acts as a magnifying glass, scrutinizing the layers of misinformation and propaganda that permeate our world. The panel's dynamic interplay ignites debates that challenge viewers to confront uncomfortable truths about governance, power, and societal responsibility.
Engage with thought-provoking content that not only informs, but inspires action.
TFP is not just a series. It is a call to awareness, urging audiences to participate in the political discourse and foster change in their communities.
Now get ready to witness the strength of tape-fist politics.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
Everything you saw on the news is sucker shit. It's sucker shit. Nation, make sure that people like us are always struggling and in fucked up situations. We're gonna beat these people. I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but it's been a hard fight. These people hate our children.
America has had its share of crooks. Warren G. Harding, Richard Nixon, bigots, Andrew Jackson, James Buchanan, and incompetence, Andrew Johnson, George W. Bush. But never before Donald Trump have we had a president who combined all these nefarious qualities.
Together, we will make America great again.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts.
Will not replace us. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. Happy New Year, everybody.
President Trump is under fire.
Quote, why are we having all these people from shithole countries come here?
Was it hush money to stay silent?
Yes.
Still around $130,000 payment for
How we can keep the government open.
We're going to keep it open if we have border security. If we don't have border security, we're not going to keep it open.
The longest government shutdown in U.S. history continues.
The president's former fixer and lawyer said he and Mr. Trump committed crimes together.
He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat.
They hit not only Florida, but Georgia was going toward the Gulf.
Trump defending his July phone call with the leader of Ukraine.
The call was perfect. There was no quid pro quo.
I'm announcing the House of Representatives moving forward with an official.
I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there.
The U.S. airstrike has killed Iran's most important military commander.
The outbreak of a mystery virus in China.
We have it totally under control.
ER doctors saying we are on the verge of a medical disaster.
It will go away. It will probably go away by itself. If we had a vaccine, that would be very helpful. Our country wasn't built to be shut down.
Across this country, two crises have converged. Protests over the death of George Floyd and the pandemic.
They actually told us that he was not going to touch the documented
thing. Mask right here. When I think I need
Trump
it.
The
President of the United States tested positive for the coronavirus.
I didn't feel so good, and now I'm better. Don't let it dominate you.
The wait is over. Election day is finally here.
CBS News projects Joe Biden has been elected the 46th president of the United States.
It was a rigged election. The numbers are corrupt.
They cheated and they rigged our presidential election, but we will still win it. Let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue.
The most significant breach of the Capitol since the War of 1812.
Twitter has permanently suspended President Trump's account.
The President of the United States incited this insurrection.
Take it down!
He must go.
The first president in history to be impeached twice.
Developing now, former President Trump has been found guilty on all counts of falsifying business records in his criminal hush money trial, making him the first former U.S. president to be convicted of a felony. Jurors delivered their verdict this afternoon after 2 days of deliberations that spanned 9.5 hours.
President Trump is a failed leader. He will go down in history as the worst president ever.
He was the worst president the United States of America ever had.
President Donald Trump has been ranked as the worst president in office during the last 150 years and the fourth worst overall.
In a survey of nearly 150 historians, former President Trump ranked among the worst in history. He beat only one-term President Franklin Pierce, the first president to be impeached, Andrew Johnson, and James Buchanan.
But it's pretty hard to get worse than that. I think Trump's the man to give him a run for his money, though.
There is a gift in this moment. It is the gift of ultimate clarity about this outgoing president. This guy is the worst ever. He is the worst president we have ever seen, period.
And that buffoon of a president thinks.
And the word here that I would use to describe Trump is awful. In fact, the only person who does worse than Trump does right now with a +1 net approval rating is himself. Back in 2017.
Concerns about the health of the economy produced one of the worst weeks on Wall Street in months.
Taking a live look at the big board right now, where the stock market is already reacting. The Dow dropping 700 points.
And look, you could see how the average just plummeted late Monday. That is when Trump made the announcement that the tariffs were coming. It continued on Tuesday as the tariffs were imposed.
I think cemented Trump's position as perhaps the worst and most dangerous president in U.S. history.
Because you weren't president screwing things up.
You were a senator. And
You're
by
the
way,
worst
you were
president America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me
For
just
decades, Herbert Hoover has been the benchmark for a historically terrible president.
And by the way, did you know there are only 2 presidents in American history who left office with fewer American jobs than they entered it? Herbert Hoover, and yes, Donald Herbert Hoover Trump. Only 2.
When there's a crash, I hope it's going to be during this next 12 months, because I don't want to be Herbert Hoover. The one president, I just don't want to be Herbert Hoover.
Okay, that was Donald Trump actively rooting against the well-being of this country and the American people, saying he hopes the economy crashes this year because he, quote, doesn't want to be Herbert Hoover. Well, Trump got his wish. A new poll out today shows that he is not Herbert Hoover. He's actually way, way worse. The poll of historians and scholars ranks every president in U.S. history from best to worst. And while Herbert Hoover received the 36th spot, Trump is ranked dead last at 45. Behind the likes of Richard Nixon, Franklin Pierce, even William Henry Harrison, who died 31 days after taking office.
1 year later.
The U.S. economy is in deep trouble.
The stock market closed out the week with the worst day of the year so far. The Dow losing 748 points. The NASDAQ and S&P also were off.
The major averages are not only lower on the day, they're lower on the week. And the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ are now also lower for the month of February so far.
We are seeing the results of an intense sell-off today on Wall Street. It happened amid mixed messages from the Trump administration about the prospects of a recession and growing fears of an escalating trade war between the U.S. and its top economic partners. The Dow today at one point tumbling more than 1,000 points and finishing the session down roughly 900 points you see there. That's a drop of about 2%. The losses were even worse across the other major indices, especially the tech-heavy NASDAQ. That lost roughly 4% of its value today. Now, that slide only adding to the rough stretch for investors after stocks fell across the board last week as well.
Are you worried about a recession? Maria Bartiromo asked you, and you kind of hesitated.
I'll tell you what, of course you hesitate. Who knows? All I know is this. We're going to take in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, and we're going to become so rich, you're not going to know where to spend all that money. I'm telling you, you just watch. We're going to have jobs. We're going to have open factories. It's going to be great. I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
But things have not gone as promised. The latest consumer price index showing inflation rising to 3%, up a tick from January and a whole point higher than the Federal Reserve's goal of 2%.
Because, yes, once Trump came in office, all of a sudden now we're seeing planes is crashing and booming everywhere. Why?
On January 20th, Trump and Elon pushed out the FAA administrator. They never named a replacement. Also on January 20th, Donald Trump implemented a hiring freeze, including for air traffic controllers. On January 21st, Trump disbanded the Aviation Security Advisory Committee. And then on January 29th, we saw the first passenger airline collision in 16 years.
And nobody seems to give a damn. So that's all I want, somebody to show that they care enough to get off their fat ass and say something about it.
Let's not make a mistake. The last day and change has been the worst day of polling for Donald Trump during his entire second term in office. What am I talking about here? Take a look at Trump's net approval rating. CNN, you see it on this side of the screen, -5. Gallup, -6. Ipsos, -7. Quinnipiac, -4. Negative, 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 underwater, 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 underwater. These 4 polls, all of them tell a consistent story, and that is Trump is on the negative side of the ledger. His net approval is negative. He is underwater.
Gallup just did its follow-up poll, now 1 month into Trump being back in office, and his numbers have gotten worse. He's not -1 anymore. Now he's -6.
Tonight on TFP, the stage is set for another exhilarating exploration of politics with this episode. Join Ricardo, Venkat, MD20, and Mike as they delve into the dynamics that shape our world, offering their unique perspectives on current affairs, with debate and discourse at the forefront. Expect a lively exchange filled with insightful analysis and bold predictions.
Not only the most disliked and unpopular president in 70-plus years of Gallup polling, Gallup says it actually puts him 15 points below the average polling for presidents.
Join us for a night where knowledge meets passion.
In a presidential term, 1 month in, the average is 15 points higher than where Trump is right now. Nobody has ever started off a presidential term this poorly.
All right, here we go. It's Tuesday. It's another TFP Tuesday, and we are back for episode 68. I'm Venkat, and joined with me on the panel is the political prophet amongst men. We got MD20. What's going on, MD?
Peace. What's going on? What's happening?
All right. All right. Also on the panel, after missing last week, we got Ricardo. What's going on? Welcome back, sir.
Yeah, y'all, can you hear me? Welcoming me back to the show is an oxymoron right now.
All right. So if you're seeing in the news, we got a lot going on as far as Elon Musk making statements about the Democrats wanting to use illegal aliens for voting. We got the stock market crashing and booming all over the place. But this week's topic, we're talking about Donald Trump as a president. And quite frankly, at least I'm saying that he's the worst president in the history of this country. MD, what are your thoughts about the opening package or Trump as a president?
Yeah, I mean, everything speaks for itself. Let me know if I'm coming in low, Venkat. I got some mic issues going on.
I think you're fine. What do you think, Ricardo?
He's loud and clear.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself, man. Everything that's compiling on in a compressed amount of time. I think that's what's most alarming and shocking about all of this. Like, to only be a few weeks into his presidency and it's this much calamity that's going on right now is it's troubling, man. It's troubling. We had a report that came out last week that we know for a fact now that he purposefully went on a spree of firings within the FAA prior to the DC crash. We know that for a fact now. There's no disputing it. We know that he's purposefully going into trade wars with different countries in order to pressure them into basically having private owned companies, that's capitalism, privately owned, pressuring them into make concessions within the United States of America. And on a side note, Ricardo, the resident Canuck, I'm disappointed in y'all. Y'all folded like a cheap suit earlier today. I don't know what happened. I thought the premier of Ontario was gonna get gangster. He didn't get gangster. But hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see when he has the meeting in a couple of days. But we know for a fact that he's purposefully doing that with bad intentions as far as getting maximum profit for a lot of these oligarchs in this country. We know that for a fact. Now, I ain't no stock market guy. I don't know how it works. I don't try to know how it works. I'm too busy to know how it works. All I know is for the past couple of weeks, I've been seeing the red arrow pointing down. And I ain't the smartest guy, but I think that's bad. I think that's bad. So with all of this being said, within a like I said, a confined period, all of these negative things have transpired in the country. Hey man, like he got 3 and some odd months left to go. Is it safe to say he's gonna be the worst president? I ain't gonna go that far, but I'm telling you right now, it ain't looking good.
So when you look at the resume from the previous term, I mean, that alone solidifies worst president stature. January 6th, all this nonsense that has happened as a result. And then you start off the second term at this level after running about lowering prices.
I got you, but here's why I disagree, because I don't take his first term with what's going on right now. We know what happened in the first term. Like that's set in stone. The book's been closed on that. Now we getting into the Trump revenge tour. So I'm separating the two. Based on the fact that we had Biden in between, I'm not gonna judge or I'm not gonna I guess facilitate a compoundment from the first term via this term, because this is about more. This is the revenge tour. So I'm going to base this solely off of everything that he's going to do here. I ain't even worried about first term he ain't done with. So yes, if we're looking at it from that standpoint, 100% worst president in history. We know, especially going into 2020. 2020 sealed the deal. We know this. But this is about so much more. The amount of corruption, to me, from an economic standpoint, from a policy standpoint, I'm not even judging him from this second term off of that. I'm going to judge him based off to the weeds. This is about to be, based on what we've seen so far, the most corrupt, anti-constitution administration that this country has ever seen. And that's much, much worse to me than anything that he could have did in his first term. We seeing free speech being eradicated. We seeing persecution of legal counsel. It's hell on earth right now. If you got anything to do with a federal agency in the United States, you in hell right now. And it's either get down or lay down. If I'm to quote the famous poet Benny Siegel. And that's just what it is. So from that aspect, I think this, from a constitutional and legal standpoint, is far worse than the first term. And we'll probably get into some of that throughout the course of the show. If we don't, I'll bring it up.
All right, MD. Thank you for that. Ricardo, what do you think about Donald Trump's resume here and his chances that he is the worst president? Or maybe he's not. Maybe there's somebody worse. What do you think?
All right.
You there, Ricardo? Yeah,
Yeah,
we can hear you now.
All right. So yeah, there's time could tell whether or not he will become the worst president. I'm going to give him Well, no. You know why? Because his first admin went through, and we already know from the first post 4 years that he's done. I kind of give him a little bit of leeway because he went through a pandemic, but now he's going through a second admin, and so far he's created a calamity of going against your two closest um, aligned partnership, which is Canada up north and Mexico in the south. And you can't live without each other for whatever reason. And he seemed to think that's going to bode well for him in the long run. I don't think so, because you're looking at the second largest landmass on earth, which is Canada, and they have more resources than you do in the south. So if, give or take, say, for instance, hypothetically speaking, Yellowstone, gigantic volcano erupts tomorrow, you pretty much, who you're going to call on. You're going to call on Mexico to help you with the illegal, because by then, the day after tomorrow movie told you that people, citizens in the U.S. will automatically become illegal people crossing the Mexican border, which is, ironically funny, but that's a whole topic for another day. I'm saying all this to say he's doing the utmost right now. I don't know, because MD has touched on a line that I think is very interesting. There's a lot of corruption, and I just, for the life of me, cannot understand how we did not elect this moron that he somehow have close to him, which is Elon Musk, in the White House, doing press conference and speeches. The people didn't pick him at all, but somehow he's at the forefront behind. I don't know if I've yet to see JD Vance be anywhere, which is so bizarre to me, because you have a president, a vice president, and then you have the Speaker of the House, and then everybody else falls in line based on checks and balances. Who the F is Elon Musk at this point? Because I'm confused as for why he's anywhere near the president. This is beyond a security breach, one. And two, why is it that the House of Representatives, Congress, the rest of them are not saying anything about this? Is beyond me. But that's a whole topic for another conversation. He is by far the worst so far because of the corruption, one. And two, there's a lot of things entailing business that people seem to keep correlating around him. Oh, I'm a businessman, I'm a this. He speaks so childish to me that I've yet to understand how is he the business acumen that he's supposed to have is very beyond strange. Like, he doesn't speak like somebody who does business. Like, I've heard Steve Jobs speak, I've heard Steve Ballmer speak, I've heard countless people, plethora of portfolio people that speak, and they don't sound moronic like how he does. And yes, you could say I'm biased, but it's just how I've watched him from The Apprentice, coming up from when he used to own the Miss Universe pageants, to like, he doesn't sound like someone that has a business acumen. So that it sounds strange for me to express that. But listen to how he talks sometimes. He seems to be repetitive when he speaks multiple times, and then he emphasizes words, which is like, like, you're supposed to sound more acute when you're speaking. He sounds like a moron. So anyone that I've spoken to has said the same thing. Like, how is he business savvy is beyond me. But, when you have a cult following, they seem to believe anything. But yeah, I do believe he is the worst. MD, you don't want to say it out loud, but I'll say it for you. He is the worst, based on the fact that we've seen a lot of things where, again, he never held public office, and that's another problem as well. But the same thing could be said about maybe President Obama, but at least he did some politics, right? I could be wrong, MD, about that one, but at least Obama did some, service in Illinois. Again, we did this whole thing, and the same thing is going to happen in Canada, because they selected a guy that ran the Bank of Canada and also did a lot behind the scenes when it came to helping Brexit for Britain and running the Bank of England. So when you don't have any, I guess, what's the word? Any I guess, is it public service? It is one thing. I don't know if it's public service, but if you have no political background, it becomes problematic, because then we don't know if you're really prepared for the task at hand when it becomes very heavy. And that's the issue I face with Donald Trump. He's never had a political background. And the other issue I have with him is you're behind a conservative party, and you're not even conservative. So I'm confused with the whole narrative of him being the tough macho guy and all this, when your convictions is not even one that matches up or aligned with the party that you're, supposed to be running behind you. Like, again, the same thing could be said about Reagan. He wasn't really in politics. He was a movie actor, right? I could be wrong about that one too, but
he was a governor too. At least he was a governor, Ronald Reagan,
and maybe Schwarzenegger,
California.
and then Schwarzenegger could get away with that because he falls a little bit, aligned with that I guess aspect too. But I say all of this to say I need some kind of political background, because this is where the problem we have. When you have populism that comes into play here, it's like we're seeing a lot of things mimicking from the European standpoint, and I just don't get. This country's run by checks and balances. We don't have a monarchy. When we left a monarchy because of this, and we decided to form a country based on checks and balances. I don't see checks and balances right now. I'm seeing a lot of populism. I'm seeing a lot of we're going to change up things. And for the record, for anyone that's out there, you megamaniacs that are like listening in, the Republican Party has never, ever, under any presidency, done well with an economy, with the exception of probably one or two. But it's always been under the moniker of the Democratic Party. That's whenever you see a Democratic president comes into play, that's when you see regulations and everything align and everything falls into an economy working well. This man is pushing us into a recession on purpose. That's a little bit of a problem for me. And again, MD, you could say that based on the capitalism that this country is run on, it will work well or bode well for his cronies that are at the top. Like the same thing they did in 2018 when they changed the tax code. I'm still really mad about that. But that's a topic for another day. But I say this again to say, and because I'm going on my nigga babble, to pinpoint, like, I need people to face the reality and facts here, that there's a lot of things that are not adding up, not making sense. But when no one's speaking up, and the Democratic Party being all antiquated and sitting there in a corner acting like, oh, well, we need to be like quiet. No, you need to rise to the occasion and start being an opposition party. I guess they've been out of the loop for so long, being in control, that they don't know how to be in opposition. You need to rise to the occasion now and stand with the people when the people are telling you, hey, I'm not even a Democrat, and I'm telling you, stand up in your voices. Y'all are just sitting there acting like, oh, it's we should be able to do it. There's a lot of internal fighting going on. They don't know what battles to pick. It's too much. But wrapping all of this up to say he is the worst president, it's gonna show, because his party is now, doing it. They're not showing it outwards, but they're fighting inside. And then you have I heard a blow up the other day with Rubio and this moron Elon Musk about a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the background that we're not going to see, because they're corrupting the media, politics, everything, all in one, and there's nobody standing up saying anything. So again, this is what y'all voted for. Don't complain in the end when it's all crashing and burning. I say all of that to say that.
Well, I'll say this real quick to your point, Ricardo. If I look throughout history and look at the massive like paradigm shift that happened, like to a negative connotation, I wouldn't necessarily put Trump there yet. I mean, we look at people like I think in the first part of the video, they talked about like Andrew Jackson. He eradicated Native Americans from the mid-Atlantic and like shipped them somewhere else. I mean, that's pretty bad. Johnson reneged on the deal after Reconstruction. If I look at it from a history standpoint, is kind of different. But if we're looking at in the now, then yeah, I get your point. But I still want to know, Ricardo, what happened with what's the guy's name, the premier Ontario?
That's Doug Ford.
Yeah, Doug Ford. Yeah, what happened, man?
So
I was riding with him for a minute. What happened to him?
It surprised a lot of people today, but I'll tell you what happened. So, and this is why I keep explaining that, like, there's so much formalities in this. So it looks like, from what I've seen, based on, because he wouldn't just back down like that unless he's really done his homework. So there's a lot of litigation stuff in the background that a lot of people are not aware of. There's so much alignment. So when it comes to the US and Canada, when it comes to electricity, there's a lot of formalities there. So there's I don't know if there's a law, like there's certain provisions or laws, litigation put in place where they signed years, like multiple years back, where it says, should such and such be or such and such occur, you can't do such. So I think in a sense it might have been illegal, and Trump, it behind the scenes might have pinpointed that, and they went back and looked in like the old records of it, of what they signed with the US, and figured, hey, they might be right. That's what I think happened. One. Two, I think the administration contacted the premier of Ontario, which is, if y'all don't know, Ontario is the largest, no, I'm a liar, the second largest province or the third. But in the case
what they said it's the largest by populace is what they said earlier.
The most people in Canada live in that one concentration of Ontario, which is the province. I think the Trump administration contacted him today and say, hey, this is getting out of hand. And he came back out after he said, we're going to pull out with this whole nonsense that we're doing about shutting off the electricity, to say that I think he said, to quote him properly, he said something to the effect of, I don't think Trump is going to go forward with doing any tariffs, like extra tariffs tomorrow. He's going to actually come and do a press conference and pull back. If that's the case, then I won't have to proceed forward with shutting off the electricity for New York or Michigan or wherever else we need to supply to. So I think there's a lot of background stuff going on that we're not privy to at the moment, but he wouldn't just back down. Doug is pretty much Donald Trump 1.0. He literally has been, I would say, a megamaniac behind the scenes. He doesn't seem like that way, but he has to go with the narrative of the country, because if he doesn't, he will be voted out. And even though there was an election done for him like a week ago, but Canadians don't play around when it comes to like kicking out people quick. When you're not falling for the narrative of the country, we saw this with the war in the what do you call it again? The weapons of mass destruction in Iraq with Bush, and Chrétien at the time, which was prime minister, was told by the people, hey, if you follow, Bush, we're going to kick your ass out. And literally he couldn't do it. He couldn't. That's the reason why Canada was not a part of that whole coalition of going in, because the Canadian people told him flat out, you can't. So Doug Ford is in the same position here, where he's like, shoot, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't, but I'm going to follow with or be in line with the Canadian people. And that's what you're seeing now. But I think he saw the records of what they signed based on history. There's a lot of tie-ins here, MD, that a lot of people don't even know. Like Canada has the St. Lawrence Seaway, which is like that the Great Lakes. If y'all are not familiar, the Great Lakes is probably one of the largest freshwater system in the world, and it's the Great Lakes that start from Superior all the way. There's like from there, then it forms Lake Erie that then spreads to Niagara Falls and flows over, and then it goes into like a longer river, which is St. Lawrence. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that connects hydroelectricity with waterways, with everything else. And I think they read that, saw the narrative, and was like, now we can't proceed with this. Now, with that being stated, can Doug still go ahead and pull the plug and say, I'm going to shut off power? Absolutely. He can do it because he's basically Donald Trump 1.0, if you get my drift. He's basically the same like him, but a Canadian version. But I'm very surprised that he pulled back. I'm very surprised it came out tamer. But I think there's a lot of interactions that we're not seeing behind the scenes. And I think the admin must have told him, hey, we're not going to go ahead with the tariffs or whatever we said we're going to do tomorrow or whatever. If you say you're going to pull back, then we're going to come out tomorrow and say this. And that's what I think basically transpired.
Why didn't they do it today, though, Ricardo, is what I'm saying. Trump ain't made no statement saying that he pulling back on the doubling up of steel and aluminum. He ain't made no statement of that.
He didn't make any statement in that the American media saw today, but the Canadian media has been reporting. I've been, seeing a lot of feeds from the Canadian side, and there's a lot of stuff that they've been saying that I've yet to see be reported on the American side. So maybe I'm missing something here in this country, but based on the feeds that I'm seeing in Canada, they're reporting literally every second per word, per verbatim from what's happening, up there. And it's like at 1 o'clock, I think sometime around 1:30 today, I saw a feed where they were like, well, Trump admin is saying that they're not going to go ahead with whatever they said they were going to do tomorrow. And then Doug Ford is in communication with the Trump administration. And then Trump administration is saying they're not going to do such and such. But before all of that happened, I was like, but wait a minute. I thought he said he was going to proceed with this whole shutting off the electricity yesterday. So something must have happened between the whole of this from this morning going up until then. And then now I think you're going to see, because remember, we didn't see any interaction from the White House yesterday, which was what, Monday? So something is off there. And then the stock market plunged today on account of what's happening in transparent with Canada. So I think he has to come up tomorrow, Trump that is, to then see something to try to move the markets again. I hate to put on my tin hat here though, MD. I do feel like this is all a scapegoat thing that they're doing. You know, again, the rich stays rich at the top, but he's pushing for a recession. I think that's what he's been literally saying, where he did the whole speech last week where he was like, oh, please bear with me because it's going to be such and such. It's going to be rough. But so it pretty much, I think they know, because you've been handing a great economy from Biden. So I don't understand how we're slipping, going downwards now. That just seems odd to me, but what do I know?
Anything else on that, MD? Any you want to reply to what?
I mean, no, not really. I mean, you know, everything he said was pretty much what you alluding to, Van Cat.
Yeah.
The confusion, the non-consistency is why we in the situation that we in.
But MD,
And
but people elected, right? This is what they wanted, so they can't complain now. I'm just
MAGA maniacs don't know what they want. MAGA maniacs don't look at the intricacies of the economy. They don't understand stuff like that.
They don't even understand tariffs, which is another thing that I've spoken to so many people last week that don't understand the whole concept of a tariff. And they were like, oh no, he said, I said, but you're not you're focusing on what he's saying. I said, do you understand what the concept is when it trickles down to you? You're paying for these things. Do you think the company's going to pass it on to themselves? They're passing it to you. Oh, yes, that's what we're getting in your brain, you fickle-minded moron. And then they get it. It's like you have to break down all this nonsense to people. I think we need to do a dumb politics for dummies, because a lot of these people going with the narrative and they're not doing their homework. And this is the problem I've had with a lot of people lately. Like, they just be saying stuff based on what Donald Trump is saying, and they're not doing their homework, understanding how.
Well, what else you want them to do though, Ricardo? This man said day one that we were gonna see prices go down, unemployment go down, wages was gonna go up. That's what he said. Lord. If you're a MAGA maniac, you don't have a choice but to go off what the man said.
And yet
you ain't got no choice.
And yet they're losing farms and singing swan songs. You're talking about, oh, but I voted for him, but I didn't think this would happen to me. Oh, I forgot, because you thought it was a DEI thing, right? Because it's only affecting Black people. No, it affects you too. But we laugh because we're sitting this one out for y'all. And for the rest of y'all Spanish people that are out there that voted for him and are now complaining about being deported and your family members are being affected, oh, let me grab a tissue and cry for you too. We don't give a damn. Y'all voted for this. You should have done your due diligence. Let's see how this ride out, because we have 3 more years to go.
What about what Ricardo said a moment ago about he feels like Trump might want to have a collapse in the economy on purpose?
Of course he does. It's the capitalism market we're in, MD. That's where I'm. Do you get that conspiracy part of it though, MD? Because I feel like this has always been the MO for the Republican Party, to come in, to do the crooning work, and then they collapse the economy or falter it somehow, and then they make changes or regulations to stuff which the Democrats would come back in.
There you go.
It's like it's a cycle that never seems to end. It's like, I don't understand how we're not catching on to this, but
they telling you what they want to do. How many times have we? I've heard the term detox. They detoxing the economy. It's like when you got a Jenga set and you knock the Jenga set down, and you know what I'm saying. What they want to do is they want to rebuild the economy from ground up. That is ultimate advantage to the oligarchs. That's what they want.
But at what cost though? At what cost? So then at
your cost, at my cost, at Vancat cost.
But that's the thing, though. I get it. We're in a free market. We're in a free flowing economy.
Man, that ain't no free market economy. That's some bullshit. That ain't no damn free market economy.
They picking the winners and the losers every day.
Yeah, exactly. A true free market economy. They call it the invisible hand.
There you go.
The invisible hand mean anything goes. Government ain't got nothing to do with it. Government facilitate the upliftment of new industry. I ain't got no problem with that. But when the industry is set in stone, it's every man for themselves. That's free market.
But
free market ain't let's shut down the economy, and then we're gonna build it back up in the image of the oligarchs.
But MD,
that's bullshit.
But just to add to that, though, have we not learned from the 2008 market crash, though, when everything was, it's reminiscence of this again, when we had the whole, the free fall of everything collapsed. It's like, how do we not see, again, I don't understand why we keep repeating history. It's like,
we haven't learned since the turn of the 19th and 20th century when they first started doing it.
This is crazy.
Like this ain't a new concept.
It's not a new concept. It really isn't.
They've been doing it since the first Gilded Age. Now we're going into the second.
You know what's funny to me? I remember when I think it was me and MD were going back and forth about free markets. And this is what I warned about. I said corruption is corruption is corruption. They're going to do what they want. What the Republicans had been doing before was controlled chaos. They would come in, they would short circuit the economy by a little bit, then they would put in their little loops. They would make their money on the downturn, and then Democrats would come in and try to fix it and patch it up. But now they have a psychopath in charge who's being led by a foreign operative, which is weird. It's like a foreign operative being led by a foreign operative. It's really strange. But now they have him who doesn't know how to discreetly short circuit the government. He's just burning it all down, which is what I told y'all was gonna happen if this man got in. I don't know why you guys should just join MIR. Just come on the squad. Just come on the squad. Like it's like I talk and people look at me like, oh, Mike's a white supremacist psychopath. I'm like, no, I'm not. I just tell the truth as I see it, and everybody look at me like I'm crazy, and then everybody wants to half step toward my points. Come all the way. Pause. He is a megalomaniac who will do what he wants to get money. See, the problem is people don't understand how the stock market works.
No, they don't.
They think, oh, when the stock market goes up, everybody gets rich.
Yep.
Yay! And I'm telling, hey, stupid, go watch an old Eddie Murphy movie called Trading Places.
Oh, yeah,
when the stocks go down, you can make just as much, if not more money. When everything's crashing around you, you can make money on the crash, and then you can set yourself up to make money on the rebound.
Facts.
That's how it works. You know what people who know the stock market are calling right now? Everyone is calling a crash. They're calling it a sale. There's a sale on Tesla stock. It's almost at 200. Oh, we gotta buy it now. Yeah.
All these Republicans saying buy. I think Donald Trump Jr. said it on a tweet the other day, talking about buy now.
Exactly.
But again, that's to the expense of an average person, 401k.
Sir, who the hell cares about average people?
Hey,
what
again,
have I been telling y'all? They don't care about us.
I've
been saying that since this show started.
Yes,
they don't give a damn about it. That's why I said the free market cannot work, because they will corrupt it as far as they can to make all of they can, and then look at you and laugh and go, hey, you should have been rich. Who told you to get born poor? That's your fault.
And you know what? When I was real radical, like when I was hardcore anarcho individuals, I ain't no anarcho individual. But when I was, hell, I was saying get rid of the stock market. Nothing should be publicly traded. It's your shit. You shouldn't have to publicly get rid of it. That's how I used to be. I'm not like that no more. Because I understand that stuff flows, and everybody should have the opportunity to be investors, so on and so forth. But I used to be like that. Like, get rid of that shit.
They'll never let you do that, because the stock market is the only way to get wealthy. If you start a business and your business is fantastic, you'll be rich. You won't be wealthy. You'll be rich. You'll be what? Excuse me. You'll be a 100 millionaire. Like, yeah, he's got a whole lot of money. You don't become billionaires without the stock market. And that's why it'll always exist. Because the stock market doesn't move off of money. The stock market doesn't move off of, hey, this business is doing great. We should all invest in that. That's not what it moves off of. The stock market moves off of rumors and bullshit. Everybody knows that. Well, I'll take that back. Everybody doesn't know that. The stock market moves off of rumors and bullshit. That's why when Trump was elected, the stock market jumped. They were like, yeah, we got those Negroes out of there. It's about to be crazy, kid. We're gonna make all this money. And then when he did all the tariffs, they were like, no, what's going on over there? And then the stock market, it's all the stock market is inside rumors and then outside rumors when the regular public gets it. That's all it is. It's people, hey man, I heard orange juice is gonna go down 4 points. Oh shit, orange juice. And then orange juice goes down 30 points because one person whispered it. That's all the stock market is. People don't seem to realize it. And at the end of the day, when the stock market is done hearing the rumors, it's gonna overcorrect itself. That's what it's doing now. The stock market is trying to go back to where it should have been because it should have been up when Trump got elected. It shouldn't have been up.
But it hasn't been this low since 2023 though. So I guess it's doing the course correction, but at the same time, it hasn't been this low, like 41,000 points though. That's a lot.
Yeah. That's because COVID wasn't supposed to happen. We were supposed to. Sadly, I hate to give credit to Bush Jr. to W, but there were safeguards in the way to stop COVID. There were safeguards that he tried to put in the way to at least have a fighting chance if something like COVID happened, and the Republicans destroyed it. They were like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to. And then COVID happened, and then the market dropped insanely. Then it had to correct back up to where it was. 23 shouldn't be the lowest. I mean, you said 20. Yeah, that shouldn't be the lowest. It should be, the market should be stable. The market should be regularly volatile. I told people the other day, the market should be a girlfriend who wakes up every day after having a dream about you smashing her ex. That's the market. The market is every day you go to bed after having a wonderful day, and then your girlfriend wakes up and punches you in the face. I had a dream that you were messing with Janine. And it's like, baby, we just had a great day. It was awesome. No, I know you love her. You don't love me. And then you gotta calm. Hey, relax, baby, relax, calm down. That's what the stock market is supposed to be. That, and then you give her, when everything is good, you give her some Valium. She goes to see therapy. When everything is bad, she buys a box of gloves and says she wants to fight you in the street. That's the stock market. Cryptocurrency is if you dating that same woman, but she's bipolar. That's the only difference. That's the stock market supposed to be that way, but it's not. The stock market is that same woman wakes up every day after watching the Lorena Bobbitt biography and thinks she wants to be her. That's the stock market now. They crush everything. Nothing has any regulation. They just want to, I'm going to do whatever I want. And then when it has an effect and destroys other people, they go, oh, well, we'll try it again on Tuesday. That's what the stock market is today.
But at the same time, Mike, you can't, I'm not necessarily blaming the markets because the markets is reactionary. I at least know that. And what's going on right now, they're reacting to the volatility that you're talking about.
Correct.
So, and not a good volatility. We're talking about a bad, they don't know what the hell is going on. So
exactly
from that aspect, it looked deliberate. It clearly looked deliberate.
It's deliberate.
Oh, sir, this is very much, that's what I said. The first thing I said was Republicans normally come in, short circuit the government, short circuit the economy by a little bit. Let's say we're going to short circuit it by 1% or 0.5%, and then we're going to make money. And then when the Democrats come, they're going to fix it and we're going to go back up. And then when we get back in, that's the little dance they play. This guy came in and put the economy, he put the economy's finger, he put the economy, a knife around damn it, I'm not even saying it right. He made the economy hold a knife and pushed the knife in a plug. That's why everything's going crazy. Because he realizes these little short circuits are how we make money, but we leave the people alive. He doesn't care about that.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't care. He wants to make, hey, one of the greatest comedians of all time, Patrice O'Neill, said to become wealthy in this country, you have to be okay with people dying. Trump is fine with it.
Yes, he is.
He has no problems. Elon Musk is fine with it.
Yes, he
Anybody that grew up in South Africa that thought apartheid was cool is fine with it.
is. I know, right? That's crazy.
That is
Yeah.
a fact. They are fine with it.
They're
Hold
fine.
up. A bunch of Negroes died? All right. Then how much did I make? I made $4 million for each dead person. Kill them all. That's how they work. They don't care. There's no such thing as too rich. Me being the person I am, if I made $1 billion, I would quit. I'd be like, I won. I'm about to go live my life. These people make $1 billion, and all they think about is the fact that they didn't make 3.
Yep.
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 That's the problem with greed. And that's why we could have had Bernie. I tell people all the time, we could have had Bernie. And they go, we don't want that socialist. And I'm like, yo, you keep living in that world of Nazism, like, oh, Nazis are so. We've been a socialist capitalist society for the last couple of decades. Like, what are you guys crying about? But no, all they got to do is say a little word. And you said those MAGA maniacs, they have no choice but to believe. Hey, man, we live in a time where Google is a thing. Okay? We live in a time where Google exists. They choose to believe it. And you know what I'm going to say? Because they need white supremacy to stay alive. They need it. White supremacy is the backbone of everything in this country. And what makes white supremacy stand is the fact that poor white people can always look at blacks and say, at least I'm better than them.
Facts.
That is all it is. They could be poor, they could have 2 teeth, their gums could be darker than the Dikembe Mutombo, but at least they not Negroes. That's
Dikembe
all
passed
they
away
care
recently.
about.
Yes, he did. Rest in peace.
R.I.P. my G. That's bro. That's all. And R.I.P. Angie Stone. That's all they care about. They don't care about fairness. They don't. Yo, if they had to give up white supremacy, they would have to be fair. Life would have to be fair. Police would have to treat them like they treat us.
But that's
Everything would have to be. And you think they want that?
no, that's a harsh
Yo,
reality. Can't take.
come on, bro. I've worked in an airport and I've heard a man say with my own ears, why are you guys treating me like black people? They know. I'm dead serious. They know.
I believe.
They know what's happening. They want to keep, even if they have to live on nothing. At least I'm not a Negro, because they know at the end of the day, when the ish hits the fan, they're just gonna go pick on poor blacks. When we were in the original big recession, they used to read books. They used to walk into poor black people's houses and just take their stuff. Who told you niggas you bread? Give me that. You don't get crumbs either. They used to just walk in people's houses and take their food. And in their mind, the police will back them up, and they will never give up that power. White supremacy is the backing of everything. All right, I've been talking too long. I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead, y'all.
No, you're good. You're good.
So, couple of things. Well, so I've been putting up this stat here about the deficits to go with the point of Ricardo and to go to the point of Mike. Hold on, I lost it now. Oh Lord, yeah, right here. So on here it explains Republican Ronald Reagan added $74 billion to the deficit. Republican George W. Bush, well, that's really George Daddy Bush, the original Bush, he added $102 billion to the deficit. Democrat Bill Clinton reduced the deficit by $383 billion. Then Republican George W. Bush came in and added 1.5 trillion, not billion, trillion. Barack Obama came in, he reduced the deficit by about 825 billion. Then Donald Trump came in and added it up to 2.1 trillion. And then Joe Biden just recently left office and he reduced the deficit down to 942 billion. So it's like a trend that keeps going on and off, on and off. And I've said this before, like, you never see a Democrat sit in that big seat and everything is running on all cylinders. It's always a catastrophe or some urgent thing that have to happen. The Great Recession, COVID, It's just all these things that just keeps happening. And how much longer will America continue to unapologetically go Republican? Donald Trump's presidency in 2024, running for the presidency in 2024, he used some of the most racist tactics. He had some of the most ignorant responses to questions and concerns, just caught outright just in the wrong. And it was very convenient to look the other way. And I just don't understand why this country is so adamant on going Republican. There's this thing about black people. Oh, they're always going Democrat. There's no other option. For the majority of black people, there is no other option. Let's not pretend we don't know what the Republican Party is and what it has done, at least in the last 40 years. So you have. Go ahead.
No. I'm gonna let you finish up because I want to give pushback on that.
Oh, okay. No, you go ahead. I'll end it right there. Go ahead.
Well, again, and I saw when you was putting this up. This ain't the flex that you think it is, Van Cat. And you know my position when it comes to deficit. To me, it's imaginary. It's not real. If you notice what happened, and I guess your argument that you're trying to make is Republicans, in simple terms, Republicans spend more money than Democrats do. That ain't a flex at all. As a matter of fact, what I always say, Republicans know how to out-left the left. They just do it in reverse. They like Eobor Thawne, they the reverse flash. They do the same stuff. The same stuff. They even to the point where they spend money that the government, quote unquote, simply doesn't have. So where does it come from? Notice all of those times where the quote unquote deficit was reduced, it was followed by a recession. Clinton, the dot-com recession. And then hell, after that, we got 2008. COVID, that's kind of that, I won't necessarily count that because that's
why not?
That's just,
you gotta count it.
I don't count it because it was compounded by something that just couldn't be controlled. Not in the natural sense. Yes, it could have been more regulated and sought over oversight, of course. But I'm just talking about it's something man-made. The dot-com recession was man-made. The 2008 was man-made. Again, I always say the government's deficit is our surplus. What do you mean, MD? Well,
no, I get what you're saying right here.
Right.
I agree. I agree to a certain extent.
Yeah. So just to lay it out, the deficit represents the growth of the economy. That's just what it is. So I ain't got you spend as much money as you want, Republican man.
But MD, don't you think that with the spending, it not all spending is good spending? We could have had a better focus on where the spending went.
And that's why you have issues from the political nature of how they fight Democrat versus Republican.
Yeah.
If you have a budget, a government budget, and the government and the money is not being spent correctly, it's not doing any good for government growth. Taxes, for instance, people they say, like reparations. Our tax dollars ain't going to no reparations or blah blah blah, this and that, or my tax dollars ain't going for food stamps for illegal aliens, stuff like that. You're an idiot if you believe that's where your tax dollars are going. Your tax dollars are actually being shredded up because it's zeroing out the budget. What do they take taxes for? They take taxes because they're trying to get currency out of circulation. Why? Because if it's too much currency in circulation, what happens, Vancat? Inflation.
Yeah.
I mean, this is even I know this stuff. So look, we're gonna take these taxes from you so we can get some of this money out of circulation to regulate inflation. That's just a fact.
But MD,
when I was a little kid, we used to go to the Atlanta Federal Reserve on field trip, and they give us a bag of shredded up money. I'm like, damn, why are they shredding up this money? Why? Because they don't need it.
But
go ahead.
wouldn't it have been good? Okay, so like let's say you go back to 2000, you got this surplus, blah blah blah, whatever, and you the next big direction of the country, rather than it being tax cuts, would it have been maybe interesting to do I don't know, healthcare, universal healthcare, or something that the country needs? You could use that moment in time to do something big and solve a problem. And tax cuts ain't solving no problems.
Man, you
That
gonna
ain't
piss
doing
me
anything.
off, man, Cat. You about to piss me off,
It's
Go
solving the
ahead.
problem when the companies and the conglomerates are lobbying the Republicans and stuffing their pocket. Until me and you, Van Cat, start stuffing the pockets of the Republicans, it's gonna continue to happen.
Yeah.
That's just what it is.
Why y'all acting like y'all don't understand what's happening? Like y'all be confusing the hell out of me. You know what they doing. The Democrats are pathetic. That's why it happens. The Democrats are pathetic. That is as far as you need to think. If they had any sense in their mind, any sense, they would leverage the good nature that they get when the Republicans are trash and they destroy the country, leverage that into locking down blocks. They do not. They could have pushed reparations like MD wanted. They would have locked down blacks for the next the next 2 centuries.
But it might have turned off a lot of whites, though.
Think about it. This is what I'm trying to tell you. If they give them their reparations, they lock down the blacks, right? Then you have the whites who want to be blacks, the whites who are liberal as hell. They have nowhere to go because they're not going to vote for Trump. That's what they say, right? Isn't that what they say?
Right. Yep.
Okay. Now you put them in a position to show and prove. And if they show that no, we don't want the blacks to have anything, now you can change the party. Now it's not Democrat anymore. Now you can have a progressive and a central or whatever the hell. Now you can actually get a foothold in something. Because the reason Democrats will never work is because it's a bunch of people that don't agree on anything, that don't agree on a lot of things, that are trying to fight a group that agrees on everything. Because they're not, people like to think there's a whole crap load of Republicans. They're not. When the Republicans win, when Democrats don't vote, that's basically what it is. If you get out the vote, Democrats win. If everybody votes, Democrats win.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So there's enough, I believe there's enough progressives and there's enough central fence riders who can make their own parties, and either one could beat the Republicans. And at least we would have parties that would agree wholeheartedly on what we're trying to do. But we have people there's people Bernie Sanders exist in the same party, kind of, with Biden. And there couldn't be further. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all they have to do is when they get the mandate and they're at the highest level of Republican fucktitude, do something radical. Do something that'll actually help people. If you're not going to give reparations, go for the single payer. Go hard. And then make the people stand on what they say they believe in. Do that. It would change politics in our lifetime forever. That's all I'm asking. But they're not. They're gonna play around in the center, try to play both sides, and all that's gonna do, oh God, it's like I say the same thing every week. You play in the middle, you're not gonna get anything accomplished. The Republicans are going to hate you because you're not far right enough. The progressives are going to hate you because you're riding the fence. The people on the fence are going to hate you because you're not on the side of the fence. Your foot's not as far on the right as it should be, and your other foot's not as far on the left as it. You can't win. But they keep trying to push the square peg in the round hole and wonder why they come up shitty every day. Make a move.
I'm gonna let you move on, Van Cat. But I want to ask Mike one question because this the second week that he brought up the quote unquote fence rider. So again, I just want to ask this question: do you believe that that coalition that you spoke about? Yes, I agree. If it was mandatory for everybody in the country that's a citizen to vote, chances are the Democrats will win every election. I agree with that. Do you believe that those voters stand on a principle that's steadfast with progressive ideology? Or do you believe the most of them are fence riders? Quote unquote.
I believe there is I don't want to say equal, maybe 49-52. I believe there's an equal amount of progressives and an equal amount of fence riders. And I think either one of them, if they're in the, let's say, what they believe is being pushed more, I believe that side would acquiesce. So I think if we had the two parties, each one could beat Republicans. I think each one could beat Republicans. Because Republicans will tell you this, they're terrified of it. The white race is dying out. We're not going to be the majority for too much longer. And I'm telling you, once those two parties, if that party separates and becomes those two parties, everyone has to choose. Latinos after this, I promise you they're going to choose different for a while. Not the black Latinos or the dark Latinos have always been on our side, but the white Latinos are finding themselves realizing they're realizing they're behind Italians, behind Greeks, behind Jews, behind who else thinks they're white and they're
Irish.
not, behind Indians. Who'd you say?
I said Irish.
Yeah, but no, you're not like us. Sorry, that's why they wanted to play that Kendrick song so bad. You not like us.
So you said acquiesce though. So are you ready to acquiesce to the social progressive policies too? Because Ricardo said he wasn't. That's what he said last week when I asked him this very same question.
Give me a topic. Give me a point. Like what? Give me the exact
transgender in bathroom.
Nah, I can't do it, bro.
So join the fence with me, bro.
No, you know what? I'll tell you this. If it's a
watch your nuts on the way up.
No. If it's a pork-laden bill and I'm getting 90% of what I want, then I'll just take my kid to the family bathroom.
That's fine. Yeah. I ain't got no problem with that.
So I acquiesce. If it's 90% of what I want and it's just 10%, hey man, you know what I'll push for? Can we get transgender bathrooms? I bet and you know why we'll never get transgender bathrooms? Because transgender men don't want to go in the bathroom with transgender women. That's how messed up it is over there.
So stupid.
That's how dumb it is. If you think everything is cool, then go in there, you men that used to be women that are now men, go in there with the women who used to be men that are now women. Go pee in the same place. Yeah, you don't want to because you think it's dangerous. I don't want to hear y'all. That's why I think the whole transgender thing is a what do you call it? It's a smoke screen of white supremacy. Because I told y'all I don't trust the people in the alphabet community because that sounded crazy. I don't trust the majority of them because I think they're just white supremacists that have found their way into another group.
And
that's what they do.
And not only that, to add to that point too, they're the same ones talking about, but it's like being black. Bitch, you don't know what it feels like to be black. So I don't know
at all.
I agree with you on that.
Get that correlation to be in the same concept that it's a no for me. No, you don't know that. Don't mix the two with this. It's not the same thing. I'm sorry, but no. Call me crazy, but the fact that you would push that narrative to say, but what I'm going through is like being like a black man or a black person. No, you don't. No, you will not do it. You will not do that. Sorry, no. You will not do it. That's my main issue with why I think that a lot of people push back against the Democratic Party in November of last year, because they were so sick and tired of seeing the same narrative of them, the alphabet community being pushed with this whole foolishness of what they were doing. And not for nothing, they were saying, but this is what we do and we got to do, and the cis and it's all these vocabulary and all this foolishness that's confusing the masses. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, are you pushing something? Are you trying to get a point across? What is it? Because you can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? Like, it's too much for you to then say, but you guys can't be saying ladies and gentlemen anymore because that's offensive to me. Then what do you want me to say to you? Because then I'm confused now. So we're not supposed to say ladies and gentlemen. What do you want me to say? Non-gendered, non-cis. Nobody got time for that. And that's what I've been trying to say the whole time. It's like no one has the patience to try to address you correctly. It's either you're a man or you're a woman. It's one of the two.
I don't know where it came from. Like,
and the Democratic Party ran with it. It's like, what? We don't have time for this.
It's not that they ran with it. It's that they didn't.
They got co-opted.
Yeah, they didn't address it at all.
Thanks, Obama.
But he changed his stance after. Remember, Obama technically was like, I'm not for gay, not for this, and then all of a sudden he got in the party and got corrupted, and he was like, oh, well, now I'm for gay marriage, now I'm for this, and we're like, but sir, you said you like, what happened to your principle? Like, how do you then
money happened? That's what happened. Y'all sleep on LGBTQ. They got the bread, sir.
Exactly, because they're white men.
We went from healthcare and single payer to bathroom assignments, like where you going in the bathroom. That's crazy.
Hey, I'll tell you one simple thought that'll tell you why I don't believe why I think it's all white supremacy and I don't believe them. They are a party that doesn't want to be labeled, right? They hated labels. Don't tell me what I am. I feel like a woman, I'm a man, or whatever the hell. And the first thing they did when they got a little power was label us cis. The first thing they did was label us.
You're right about that.
What the hell is
and I ain't no damn cis. And I
don't even know what the hell that means.
Exactly.
That means
I had a transgender and me going back and forth trying to, you are cis. I'm like, you don't get to tell me what I am. I'm a man. I ain't cis nothing. Well, cis means I don't care what you think it means.
Exactly.
I said, if you're gonna call me cis, then I'm gonna call you tranny. What's up? That's offensive. Well, cis is offensive to me. I don't want you calling me cis. I ain't nobody's sister. It's a different one. It's a C. I don't care how you spell it. Can I spell tranny with a K? Does that make it better? Oh, I don't like that. Okay, then. Don't tell me what I am. But you can't have that conversation with them because in their mind, you don't get to dictate. It's nuts. It's nuts. Yo, I'm driving with y'all go ahead and talk.
Yeah, chill out for you crash. Go ahead, Van Cap.
Now this is a nutty person trying to crash into me.
UBC out there. But yeah, that's the main gripe I've been having with just the Democratic Party. I feel like they came in. It's like, remember when they did the whole Black Lives Matter thing? They all decided to do this whole foolishness. Oh, we're gonna dress up like how, all in this black ensemble, and we're gonna put up our fists like we're doing something important in the middle of some circle building and take a photograph. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, this it's a bit too much. Just focus on the main initiatives here, whereas you're trying to help people. But then what they did was they got corrupted with these whole collaboratives of what they were doing with the alphabet community. Then you had these people over here complaining about this. Then it's like, so the internal fighting, I feel like, is a distraction. And it's something now that you're seeing manifesting, like how MD said how many weeks back, where he's like, where's the opposition? The opposition is literally antiquated now, MD. I'm sorry, but they're old people, and I'm not an ageist. By no means am I an ageist at all. But I will say this: the Democratic Party needs to be completely revamped. I don't know how you had that one guy with the cane when we were watching the speech with Trump walk out, and none of them decided to walk out with the man. That was a failed moment.
Al Green.
Why did you not all get up and walk out? You knew there was a whole bunch of bullshit he was talking to. He literally insulted y'all most of the night. Y'all should have took that initiative and walk out with him. Y'all made that man walk out with the king by himself. What kind of stupidness is that? That's not opposition like behavior. Y'all need to stand up and rise up for the moment. Y'all are not doing that. All I'm seeing is, oh, we're gonna put up plaques and flip it back and forth. Who does that? What are y'all doing?
Not only that, they turned around and didn't put up no opposition when they voted to censor the man.
Yeah. So there are 10 Democrats. 10 Democrats voted to censor their own Democrat.
Talking about they respect the office. Man, this ain't no time to respect nothing. Not right now.
And that's
so y'all hearing me. They don't agree. They need to be a split. Go ahead, bro.
No, I was about to say it, and this is where Twin comes in. This is where Mike has been saying, and Mike is right about this. You don't hear the Republicans coming in going, oh, we're going to be nice and be so cordial to the Democrats because they were so mean to us. They're coming in with full force, like full throttle, like, we going to burn this bitch down. We're going to destroy everything that Biden did. This literally is what they're doing. So I don't understand why is it the Democrats just sit back and always go, we're going to be the nice guy. And it's like having that one dude that's always being nice, where you have like the prick that's like, oh, I'm going to be the quagmire. I'm gonna call this woman the bitch, and then literally get her, and then you just be like, oh, but I was so nice to her the whole time. No one gives a damn, dude. You lost because you were just being nice. We don't got time for that. Step in now and kick them in the knuckles and the teeth or whatever, and start doing your job. Y'all, you heard that, what was his name? That one guy you heard me say I couldn't stand, from Michael Steele. Oh, none of y'all that, mind you, he was a whole part of this whole foolishness to begin with. Oh, everybody's sitting on their fat ass and not saying anything. Well, sir, weren't you a part of the problem to begin with? But now you want to complain where they're sitting on not doing nothing. When you went to Dora Reed's show before she got canceled, talking about you're sitting on their fat asses and not doing nothing, sir. What do you expect them to be doing now? And that's my problem now. The Democratic Party, and by no means am I a Democrat, because you hear me say I'm an independent. But I need them to now step in, because there needs to be an opposition. Every country has an opposition party where they step in and say, listen, this is the direction that we're not going to go in. We're going to either do something, stop the coalition, block some. They're just sitting back being old. Like, nobody got time for this. Y'all need to start showing your ages. And I'm not an ageist. Don't take that the wrong way. But they're coming off old fart-ish at this point. Sitting down looking like we're old, frail, like people. We don't got time for this. We don't have time for this, people. Be an opposition party, rise to the occasion, and start doing y'all jobs. Y'all looking like a bunch of morons right now. I'm
What you
sorry.
just heard is how Trump got elected. What my twin just told y'all is exactly how Trump won. Soft-ass Democrat nice boys. When Bad Boy walked up, there was nobody to stop the bully because they all was soft punks that was used to being soft and trying to be nice. Let's be nice with the other side. There wasn't no gangsters no more, and then they all got punked. That's why I don't want to give up thugs in the black community, because we start playing like them, and then whenever they get gangster, there's nobody to go, hold on, who the hell are you talking to? Only the last person that did it was an old man with a cane, and everybody looked at him like he was crazy.
Nobody else.
But a lot of this, they don't really stand up for anything.
You fall for anything then, because if you don't stand up for anything, you're gonna fall for anything, because that makes no sense.
No, well, the voting, the people that are voting, they're not doing any due diligence to really see what the policies are. So the easy way out is to look at personalities, look at memes, look at social media. Oh, you really got that person with that one. Nothing of substance. So because we went that route, the lazy route, you pick the Republicans, you got the Republicans, and now all their bitch asses is in these town halls crying, woe is me, they did one on us. We didn't see this coming. So I think it's not a good policy to stand on. At the end of the day, you could say, well, they're not cool enough. They're not Fonzie-like. They don't wear the cool jacket. They got a bunch of retainers on and stuff like that. But you got to look at the substance of it, and they don't want to do the work to get that. And then you get what we got now.
Hey, Vancat, can I make you a bet? I want to make, just like how I called out that everybody that Trump was going to win. I want to make you a bet. I'm gonna try to write this down when I get to my girl house.
Yeah, put it on a post-it.
We got to. All the people that are crying and complaining about Trump right now, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna vote for DeSantis next round. They're gonna cry and complain. Where are the black people? They should be marching with us. Where are they? And then when it comes around again, they're gonna go, oh yeah, but I'm still voting with them, because that's what they do. That's why I'm so glad black people ain't listening to them. I'm so glad black people. You heard what they came on the other day and said? Hey, if President Trump really wants to knock down these DEIs, he should release Derek Chauvin. And black people were like, it was beautiful. Black people looked at him and they said, nah, we're not falling for that. Go ahead, let him go. black people, it wasn't even news on the black manosphere, on the blackosphere. We were like, nah, we're not falling for that. Let him go. We fine, we'll kill him. If not, it is what it is. Let him go. That's how I look at it. I'm not.
Yeah, he would need some bodyguards
They're
for
tearing
sure.
up Black Lives Matter Avenue. We ain't falling for that. Let them do whatever they want. Let them do whatever they want. We're not falling for it. We're not this whole 4-year cycle. We cool. We cool on that. Y'all handle that.
But I want to add something to this though, Mike. don't then come back and ask us to come save the day for the moment when they start feeling. Because, you know, at the end of the day, they always run back to the black people and be like, oh, but we need y'all. Like they have that like you saw you I'm sure everybody saw the video by now where they had the CEO come in to save Red Lobster. Mind you, it's Red Lobster. So they come in and they pick black people for certain moments when they need us the most. And then they kick us to the canister when they're done. They're like, oh, well, we don't need you again. We'll circle back around to y'all probably like, 6-7 years down. No, you're not going to do that. Black people sit it out. Since they want to run to the Hispanic community now, let them go to the Latinos. And the Latinos that are so confused about whether or not they have one drop blackness in them or not, let them go to the Latinos that voted for Trump. We ain't going to do it this time. We're not going to fall for the false fallacy of oh, well, the black people, we need y'all. We come back to our side again. Like, we're going to sprinkle some of we're going to give you. No, we're not going to do that. It's time for us now as a community to start saying, like, yeah, you guys keep coming to us to save the day. We ain't going to do that. We too strong and too smart and focused to get fickled out. But again, money always seems to seep through and distract us somehow. And there's going to be some there where they're going to be like, the checks, they're going to send us checks. Shut up. We want the money, damn it. We don't want to. That's what's going to happen. It's always the same cycle over and over again. Somebody's going to come in and distract us somehow, because the narrative was there when George Floyd was getting killed. And then we all did the Black Lives Matter. And then someone got corrupted to stay woke. Then woke turned into, oh my God, woke is now this. And then woke became such a terrible negative word. And now it's too much. We need to set out certain things. Let the Latinos that are now the majority in this country take focus. And when they with them and they kick them to the side and they come crawling back to us, you go, oh, but I thought you didn't need us no more. Oh, what is it you need us for now? Oh, but y'all are super cool. Y'all are no, we're not going to do it. So black folks, please don't fall for the distraction. I beg you, because they're always going to come back to us to save the day for some crap. Don't do it. I'm begging y'all, don't.
All right.
Black women, do not fall for the white woman trap again. Please, black women, they do not care about you.
They really don't. They really do not.
All right, let's go into the next video here. It's a medley of different things, the disaster of Donald Trump. But what is interesting in this piece is the reaction to a couple Trump voters and how they had to come to reality on what's happened to them since he's been elected. Let's take a look at this, and we'll be back on the other end.
And will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Let me stay on the economy for a moment, because there are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter.
I've only been here.
But are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time.
A couple of days ago, Bank of America came out with their credit card data, and it was scary. I mean, a shocking declines in restaurants, airlines, lodging. Just look at the most recent poll on people who say they're going to go traveling in the next few months. It has plunged. I think the boom times are over. All the
Get them out! No kings, no tyrants!
Well, when we found out that President Trump was running for president again this term, we immediately went out and bought a flag, because we are huge Trump supporters, questioning what's happening right now, obviously. Individuals started receiving notice on Monday that they were going to have an appointment for termination on Wednesday. It's hard. It's wrecking. The common theme is, we voted for this, and our friends that didn't vote the same, there's always that back and forth conversation now. It's like, you knew this was coming. But we didn't. Like, nobody that I've talked to understood the devastation that having this administration in office would do to our lives, but other people that we love and care about too within the Mid-Ohio Valley. Again, I can't help but go back to the fact that what is the decisions that you're making right now solving in the big picture? It just, so the concept of voting for that again, voting for Elon Musk essentially to wreck people's lives, I can't do it. If you can't trust your president and your vice president to do what they said they were going to do, which is protect us, protect the veterans, love the veterans, support them, then it leaves you in a really ugly place in your thinking.
So really just kind of all of a sudden, within maybe like a day's notice, I was basically told that tomorrow is your last day. And now they're like basically denying our unemployment compensation claims. So they're starving us out at the same time. How am I going to pay my bills? I feel like everybody really needs to do their homework a lot more in depth next time come voting time to really try to figure out who these people are deep down inside, because they fool you a lot. They get in office, they don't do the things they said they was going to do or promise the people.
Trump is clearly one of the worst negotiators in geopolitical history. The first time ever an American president has criticized an ally for not surrendering to an invading army. You fucking pussyhole. Trump claiming that Ukraine started the war is like Roosevelt saying, well, what the fuck were those ships doing in Pearl Harbor in the first place? President of the United States with the richest man in the world as your pet and still shitting the bed every time someone points out that you're being a wanker. You disingenuous, cowardly, boot-licking, Trump line-towing, cock-sucking coward. Maybe the world will see that America in its present form is not to be trusted by anyone. And anyone who does trust Trump, people like Nigel Farage, for example, a boot-licking, cowardly cocksucker who instead of doing any work for his constituents is right now wanking for coins on a stage in Washington, having a big fat public MAGA wank for dollar, a fucking shit stain of a man.
Breaking just moments ago, jobless claim numbers are in. It's not good. First-time applicants for unemployment benefits rose more than expected last week.
The federal government is laying off tens or even hundreds of thousands of workers. So these new numbers just out show that the number of people filing for first-time unemployment benefits rose significantly for the week ending February 22nd. It increased by 22,000 to 242,000.
That he has overstepped when it comes to using presidential power, and about the same feel that he has gone too far in cutting federal programs.
But polls show voters are increasingly concerned about Trump's handling of one of their top issues, inflation, and his campaign pledge to bring down prices on day one.
Starting on day one, we will end inflation.
We will end inflation and we will make America affordable again.
A Washington Post Ipsos poll shows 53% of Americans disapprove of how the president is handling the economy. And a new CNN poll shows 62% say Trump has not done enough to bring down prices.
Was the signature catchphrase for the election, but the price of eggs. Well, according to Trump's own USDA, egg prices are going to go up possibly to 40% more for the rest of the year. I think the Republicans are going to have to explain to the American people why Donald Trump's actions so far in his few weeks that he's been in office, how has that improved their lives? It hasn't. They're feeling it right now. It's going to be very difficult to try to tell the American people they're not feeling what they're feeling or seeing what they're seeing when it comes to the stock market and the prices of everyday goods. Tariffs don't work. He can try to continue to blame Joe Biden, his predecessor, for the mess that we're in now. But frankly, Joe Biden left Donald Trump with a very good economy and an excellent stock market, and people's 401ks and the prices of eggs were actually lower than they are right now.
And the average price across the country right now for a dozen eggs, $4.95. That was last month. A year ago, it was $2.52, which is a stunning 96% jump over the last year. And now that's what you're paying, what the grocers pay. That's called the wholesale price, was $8.07 in the latest weekly report.
Well, the president promised during the campaign that he was going to bring down prices, and he certainly is well aware that many voters supported him because of the economy. But the administration now admits this is going to take some time. Now, the president is blaming rising inflation on his predecessor. They're also blaming the Biden administration for the bird flu outbreak.
The prices have jumped more than 15% in the past month alone, which is being blamed on bird flu.
And I'm on Medicare, and when Joe Biden was in there, my insulin was $6 for a 28-day supply. I just went to CVS to get my new supply. It went back up to $80, they said, because the American Recovery Act was canceled. So it went from $6 to $80.
I believe that this administration, in less than 30 days, in the midst of a massive collapse, in particularly a collapse in public opinion, it's going to be easy pickings here in 6 weeks. Just lay back.
So you literally think 30 days to 6 weeks, the Trump administration is effectively going to collapse in terms of public support?
Well, it's collapsing right now. We're in the midst of a collapse. This is the lowest approval, not even close, that any president has ever had at a comparable time. Again, that's a provable fact.
Right now, out on Wall Street, investors are weighing this new exchange of tariffs with Mexico, Canada, and China.
The headline polarizing a month into the second Trump presidency. You see his approval rating in 4 of these 5 polls is under 50%. In 4 of these 5 polls, his disapproval number is higher than his approval number. So his underwater approval rating, 44-53. His absolute best mark still never got that approval number over the disapproval number. You see as low as it got, and average everything that's out there right now together, and you can see where his current standings stack up, kind of in that same range.
He who saves his country does not violate any law, implying that he is above the law.
This shows you, right, federal government is not a business. Should people be hesitant to fly right now?
No, not at all. I'd not hesitate to fly.
Given all of the plane crashes, I don't know much about it, but it seems like a bad idea.
Later that same evening.
We're in Toronto. We just landed. Our plane crashed.
Is now scrambling to unfire nuclear security workers who were terminated in the federal workforce purge being led by billionaire Elon Musk.
Headline: Trump layoffs leave Hanford nuclear site with skeleton crew.
I would actually, you know what? I'd just like you to show that you give a damn, that you got a little emotion about the fact that people are losing their jobs indiscriminately. I'd just like to see somebody wake the hell up and get excited about the fact that your country is under assault. They're not at the gate anymore. They're in your bedrooms. They're in your living rooms. They're in your businesses. They got your data, dumbass. They got all your stuff. Elon Musk has his tentacles in everything you're doing.
All right, there we go. So to lead off, we'll start with Mike. Mike, what do you think about a lot of what we just saw?
I am so mad that you cut some of that stuff. That woman who started it off, right? She said something, and I understand you had to. She said something that I wanted people to have to hear. But you cut it. She said something to the effect of, he said he was going to protect the veterans. I thought he was only going to go after those DEI people, something like that. That lets you know that even in that and the numbers, you see at the end at the numbers, you guys need to look at you watch that whole video, but I don't think people really took the real nutrients from it. So remember, she said something akin to, I thought he was only going to go after those DEI people. The guy right after her said, well, we're going to have to start looking more closely at the policies and the things that these people are saying, which means he was only looking at the Republican ticket. He was just looking at who they were. And then at the end, you saw the numbers of the approval numbers and the disapproval numbers were damn near the same. That means even after all this nonsense, even after all that, the eggs being almost $8 freaking wholesale, even after all that, they still would vote for him again. Don't fall for it, black people. Don't fall for it. They're just mad that they're getting hurt too. They still want you to be hurt. They just don't want to be hurt as well. So sit back. I think right now we should all be sitting back, trying to come together, trying to figure a way to get black people to come together and find a way through this stock market to get a big thing to get us together, to get us to make money. It'll never happen because Negroes ain't gonna do it. But that's what we should be doing. We should be coming together, becoming a conglomerate, and then carving out a space of political consciousness and political power for ourselves. It won't happen because niggas ain't gonna do it. But that's what we should be doing. We shouldn't be worrying about none of this. If they gonna make eggs go up to $8, buy hot dogs instead. Everything you put eggs in, put some hot dogs in it, except for cakes. That ain't gonna work. But if you wake up and make egg and rice, get some cheap hot dogs, cut it up, make some hot dogs and rice. You like scrambled eggs and steak? Put some hot dogs and steak. It'll be all right. It'll taste. It ain't no. We put water on cereal. We'll survive. They're the ones that's gonna suffer. Do not be there to help them. Do not be there to march with them. We need to focus on ourselves. We need to be individualists, but like MD used to say. But instead of individuals ourselves, we need to be individually focused on black. That's what we should be doing. No Caribbean, African, native black, or kidnapped black issues. It needs to just be a coalition of, hey, you got melanin? You got a bunch of melanin? Me too. Let's team up. It need to be just that. Because they admit they only voted for him because he was him and he said he was going to hurt us. That's what they said. Go back and watch the whole video for yourself. All they cared about was hurting us and getting what they wanted. They're just mad they only got half of it. So stop. Don't let none of this fool you, black people. Let them suffer, laugh and giggle, and worry about yourself. I'm done.
All right. MD, do you agree with the sentiments of Mike?
No, not exact. But I do agree with the fact that a lot of people who voted for Trump didn't vote necessarily for interest. They voted for retribution, like Trump said. So you know that's just what it is. But they failed to go what everybody was saying, whether it was progressives or whoever was talking about Project 2020. We had this discussion. Is what I'm trying to say. Everything was listed in Project 2025. Everything, including the VA. So I knew what was coming down the pipe. Other people tried to profess what was coming down the pipe. We were told that Trump didn't have nothing to do with Project 2025. Hell, at this point, he ain't got nothing to do with the presidency, period.
That's a bar. That's a bar.
So what I'm saying is this. If we look at it from the aspect of who's to blame for the situation that we're in right now, I don't blame Trump. Hell, to a further degree, I don't blame Elon. I don't blame Russ Vought or Scott Besson or any of the people that were the authors of Project 2025. I blame, and it's as simple as this, the MAGA maniac. The MAGA maniac did not care about information that was being put out through press. Hell, in a lesser degree, they didn't care about information that they was getting from independent media, because that's where they was getting it from. Even if it was fake or whatever the situation, they cared about retribution. Once Trump said that word, it was a wrap. To Mike's point, and we should have took heed to his words. We didn't do it. We didn't do it. He said this was gonna happen, and it happened. So from that standpoint, Mike is right. But I will say, in the aspect of how we view these people, these lesser human beings, the MAGA maniac, we have to understand that policy was never their issue, ever. The economy was never their issue. It just wasn't. I saw egg prices went down a little bit today. And they jumping for joy. It went down like $1 and some change. I even seen some dumbass say they lower at this point than before Trump took office. I'm saying, huh? How the hell you get that from? These people are stupid. Is exactly what I'm saying. So from that aspect, we can't take the MAGA maniacs serious, even if they believe on the baseline of anything can happen, hell in the handbasket, as long as the nigga going down first. If we take it from that aspect, I think we lose the concept of the fundamental aspect of how we view politics. Me personally, I won't do that. I get if somebody would think that way, you know, and have that type of knowledge. That's cool. But in the aspect of how we view these people, and this is another thing, you got people saying, you know, we got to meet MAGA maniacs halfway, and we got to stop calling them stupid. And no, I'm not doing that. Why should I have to cater to an idiot? I wasn't taught that way. That's just what it is. Again, like I told you, my granddaddy always told me, go through life as if everybody that's around you is dumb as hell. And I took that to heart. Whatever you doing, driving, walking down the street, at your job, everybody around you is stupid. If you do that, you don't take as much of a risk of harming yourself. So from the aspect of what Mike was talking about as far as, you know, the coalition and all that, that's cool from a political sense. But we have to understand, fundamentally, we got to value what our individual freedoms are. I think that's part of the problem, that we don't do that. The hell with a racist, a misogynist, or feminist, or damn a cis or trans, whatever the hell the names are today. I must, as an American, I don't have a choice. I got to value your freedom. We live in a society, whether you're racist or not, that it must be followed. We got to understand as black folk, we have to understand what those freedoms persist in terms of everybody else, because everybody else is stupid. Keep that, you know, you got to have that in the back of your head. Everybody else is dumb as hell. How am I going to take advantage of my freedom? You gotta be informed. You can't rely on everybody else to be informed, because obviously that ain't the case. So if we take it from that sense, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. And people will start to understand, hey, look, I gotta watch my back. I ain't saying that I'm not gonna watch your six as well as part of the coalition. But at the end of the day, it's always gonna be interests that have other folks looking side-eye, whether they friend or foe. So from that aspect, like I said, you know, it's half and half of what Mike said. But Trump, in and of itself, the disastrous things that he done did, is well off to a point where people react, whether positive or negative, in the aspect of a political standpoint of how we view it. I think in the long run, we'll have a sense of, I don't want to say normalcy, because hell, this ain't normal. But we'll have a sense of calm if we regulate this presidency on the basis of legality. And like I said at the beginning of the show, that's the existential threat to in my eyes. Egg prices and planes and helicopters crashing. What's the legality of what he's doing? Take in the first term, Van Cat, Mike and Ricardo, we impeached this man for less. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And that go back to Ricardo's point. The Democrats, bro, y'all got to step y'all game up, man. And I understand that y'all not in power, but bro, y'all need to throw a chair in the air or something. Like on the Boondock, just throw the chair. Nigga, I'm mad. And throw the chair.
Facts.
You got to at this point. You don't have a choice. So I'll leave it at that.
I just want the world that's listening to realize MD said he didn't agree with me, then agree with me on almost everything, and then said he halfway agreed with me, but only didn't agree with me on a couple word usage. That man want to be MIR. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead, Van Cat.
I only disagree with you in the aspect of how we view collective politics. Everything else, you're right. I agree on you 100%. But I think, like, again, we got to watch our back. We can watch each other back. That's cool. But in the aspect of, again, everybody around you was dumb. I ain't calling y'all stupid, of course. But you have to go through, even in this political climate, you got to go through life like that, based on exactly what's going on right now.
I thoroughly agree. I told my daughter that last night. I said, everybody's stupid, baby. I said, you stupid too. You're just kid smart, but you grown up dumb. You got to act just like everybody else is dumb as you until you figure this world out better. That's why you listen to me. So you ain't wrong.
Exactly.
All right, Ricardo, what were your thoughts on that video? Trumpers regretting getting fired. The point of Mike, they're not mad about him. They're just mad at the fact that they're being affected by what he's doing. What are your thoughts here?
I'm just gonna play the Swan song because "woe is me" is the new vocabulary of the day. I mean, I don't understand that, and Mike brought up a point. Even though they see all of this transpiring around them, they still would, at the end of the day tomorrow, still go back and vote for him again, which defeats the whole purpose of why you're complaining. I don't understand why, people are gonna sit there and go, "Oh my God, I'm confused. Oh my God, I'm losing my farm. Oh my God, rice is too high." I wish the rent is too damn high guy is somewhere in New York with his beard and everything with the cane.
I love that guy.
Like, I miss that man because he was so hilarious when he came up. How he didn't win, I will never know. But it's crazy because I feel like somewhere along the lines, people gotta at least smell the coffee at this point. If there's just smelling the shit and the flies just flying around the shit and they're not doing nothing, something's clearly wrong. I can't wrap my mind around it. It's like, it's going back, it's harkening to that teacher that when Van Cat played the video a couple weeks back where the news reporter was like, okay, but Trump is coming and he said he's gonna cut like most of the school programming and like the things that you're complaining about, like the kids not having food to eat in the mornings, all of that stuff he said he was gonna literally cut before he got voted in. Now he's cutting these programs. Oh no, he wouldn't. I don't believe he's gonna do that. Ma'am, he literally just told you that's what he's gonna do, and you're just sitting here talking in front of me face to face saying you don't think he's gonna do that. I just don't believe it. Ma'am,
that was AI, twin. That was AI.
Like that. I whether it be AI or these people just being plain dumb or stupid, it's maybe we should be like, you remember back in the day they used to have the book Something for Dummies. They need to bring that back. I haven't seen it in a while. I don't even know if they still have that, because that's what I used to read. Maybe we're just too like tame or what it is. We need to go back to reading these books for dummies so that we can like catch up to like what is, because we're in a twilight zone. I don't understand none of this at all. None of it. It's kind of like somebody going, "Oh my God, I heard there's a tsunami coming tomorrow. Don't go to the shoreline." And you go, "Oh, but I heard the tsunami's coming tomorrow. I'm just gonna go look at the shoreline just to see if the tsunami's coming." What are you doing? I just gave you the warning. Don't go down there. It's like, it's crazy to me. But I'm just saying that we got to sing the Swan song, because not the thong song, guys. Don't confuse the two. Don't conflate the two. The Swan song is that sad, mobley, like violin that's playing in the background where we're like shedding a tear. Because at this point, if the farmers, the white farmers, not even the black, because the black people, will always, suffer under what, my twins said all along. They would rather see us suffer and go, "Oh, but at least we're better off." They've always been like that. That's not going to change. But it's funny to hear them go, "Oh, we're cutting veteran stuff," and they're cutting this. They literally said this in Project 2025, like MD had mentioned. Not to mention now, we're hearing Musk. Yesterday, I posted an article in the group stating that he's now thinking Medicaid is way too much, he says. And I think Social Security is so, it's so, what he said is so not needed now. Like the nerve you have after people have invested 50 years, if not more, of their time, of their needed money, for you to come in and talk about you're gonna cut what now? Best of luck to all those old folks that are now sitting back waiting for their investment in the Social Security and Medicaid not to get that. You play around, you F around with that, best believe they're going to kill you. I'm saying that flat out to you now so you know. Play around with these people, you're going to learn real quick. You don't touch Medicaid and you don't touch Social Security. So we'll see how that's going to pan out with Doge and whatever you want to call this foolishness. And him thinking we'll cut certain sectors because it seems beneficial to him. It don't work like that, sir. But we'll see. Because again, if it affects the black folks, it doesn't bother certain people, i.e. the poor whites. But when you start touching their things, we're going to see if they're going to be reactionary to it or they're just going to be like, oh, no, I don't think he's going to do it. They dead ass serious, folks. These are stuff they put in Project 2025, and we're getting distracted by foolishness where it's like Rome back in the day. If y'all didn't know or know your history well, Rome used to do the same thing where they will put out circuses and all this stuff. Meanwhile, in the background, they're cutting things. So this is why I'm thinking is Trump's MO. He's saying a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, I'm going to annex Canada. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take back the Panama Canal. All in not that to say that we shouldn't be concerned, but really and truly, there's really a lot of stuff going on in the background that you're not paying attention to. That's really concerning. One of them, i.e., why is it that this man Musk is so invested? And I said this from last year as well. Whereas when we were getting, the election coming into the circle or the cycle of it, why is Elon Musk hands in every goddamn friggin' aspect of the commerce and private sector, and no one's calling him out on it? He's now in satellites. Why is it now that we're giving him so much full trust in terms of satellites? What's next? You're going to give him automation in trucks? What's next? You're going to give him computers in aviation? You shouldn't have one person be so much in control. We've learned this from Ford many years ago in the automobile industry. We've learned this years ago with the Rockefellers with oil. Why are we allowing these people, these oligarchs, to come back in and do the same thing again? People wake up. Now is not the time for that. And another point that I'm let's keep saying this over and over again. Democratic Party, Democrats, liberals, whoever you want to call yourselves, please rise up to this moment and start doing your job as an opposition. You guys cannot be sitting back arguing about moot points now that don't make no sense to me. Like you internal fight about what? Like what we should be fighting about? Like this doesn't make sense. You hear them complaining about eggs being $5, at this point. You hear them complaining about what they're going to be cutting next, i.e. Medicaid and Social Security. These are things you need to be going after. You heard the man in the video, which was so funny to me, saying, oh, but under Biden, insulin used to be like, I think I was paying $5. Now it's $13. Sir, what did you expect was going to happen? Big Pharma has always been behind, mega party lines. That's their job. It's the same thing with the NRA. These companies have always been there, like Facebook, all of them, Target, all of them. They've literally been in the loop of things. They know what's going on. That's they're big, huge conglomerates for a reason. I just find it funny now that Target's being affected by sales, and now they're going, oh, we think we're going to go into recession. Sir, no. We're not going to, we are in a recession. We're going into it, yes, maybe, but we've been handling a great economy from Biden. Mind you, probably was out of the loop for a while. That's a whole other conversation for another day. But you can't be mad when people say we're not going to take our money and spend it at your company anymore, and you're going to go, oh, well, it's the change of the times of the time, the signs of the times. No, people just choosing not to invest in you because you said you're going to get rid of certain things, i.e. DEI, and you're now going, oh, and this is what I'm saying, black folks, don't fall for the okie doke again. It's one of those things where they come crawling back when things get affected. Oh my God, the sales. So now Red Lobster is failing. Target is not doing well. All these places that black folks usually are dependable for, i.e. certain products and merchandise, they're going, oh, what's happening? It's like we're just, overnight, everything's changing. Damn right it's changing because people are changing their spending habits. This is what's happening. But I say all of that to say, Vancat, it's one of those things where I'm confused by the narrative of certain people are going, oh my God, like what is happening? But tomorrow, if the election is called again, you're still going to vote for the same nonsense. It's beyond me. I'm so confused and lost by it, but this is America. This is the land of, opportunity, land of change, land of whatever you want to believe in, you have. And this is what people wanted. We can't complain now. Not we, but them. They can't complain now, but let me play the sad violin song for you and pat my eyes for the tears because I'm just eating my popcorn.
That swan. That's the swan song and the
What
thong
song?
song theme.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing
That
about the
swan,
eggs, right? I find it funny that over the weekend, and this is what I mean by Republicans out left in the left. Over the weekend, they said they launching an investigation on the egg companies for price gouging. All of a sudden, magically, eggs fall a couple dollars. Just magically. We don't know why. Did the birds took some Tamiflu? I don't know what happened.
We know why. The same reason them prices went up during COVID, because
surprise, 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 surprise.
we know why. That was the signal. Hey, you going a little too far. Cut back a little bit. That's all it was. That's the signal to the business. Hey, cut back a little bit. They starting to complain. Chill out. Oh, our bad. We'll go down $1. Okay, that's all it is. They don't give a damn about your scrambled eggs and your American breakfast. Go ahead.
Right. And
Van
I could have swore Kamala ran on the stopping price gouging. I mean, that was one of I ain't up here waving the Kamala flag, but I mean, hey, that's what she
Can't
did.
nobody understand what that Kamala was saying. She should have spoke white man's English.
or at the very least Hindu.
That was funny.
They like them.
Hey, y'all been getting some bars off tonight. That was hard.
All right. So we're gonna go into Elon Musk, Doge. There was a clip here early on when they were talking about the different members of Doge. We never got into that. So let's take a look at that and then we'll be back.
Here we have Luke Ferreter, who is winning the first Letters Prize on behalf of the Vesuvius Challenge.
Indeed. Thank you. Luke Ferreter was the first person to decipher a word from an ancient scroll that had been buried in volcanic mud for centuries.
But for the first part of the challenge through July, I was interning at SpaceX and just kind of doing this in the evenings and weekends. It's the word Prophorus.
He went on to win the grand prize in a global competition. A 22-year-old undergrad at the time. What he does now is work for Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, headed up by Elon Musk, who's brought in a group of gifted young engineers, some in their early 20s with no prior government experience. Their current job assignments, unclear. But it is clear they're part of the Trump administration's plan to slash government agencies. Democratic senators sent a letter to the White House describing how Doge staff has seemingly unfettered access to classified materials and Americans' personal information. In federal court, government lawyers said Marco Ellis had read-only access to a highly sensitive payment system at the Treasury Department. Ignition. Liftoff. Ellis, who previously worked at SpaceX, has been the center of attention. His Doge position was terminated after the Wall Street Journal uncovered racist and eugenic posts on an account linked to him.
The Journal says the now deleted account, called Null PTR, wrote tweets like this. Just for the record, I was racist before it was cool. You could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity. I would not mind at all if Gaza and Israel were both wiped off the face of the earth. Normalize Indian hate.
But then Elon Musk, the vice president, and Trump himself weighed in.
The vice president says, bring him back. What do you say?
Well, I don't know about the particular thing, but if the vice president said that, did you say that? I'm with the vice president.
Tonight, Elon Musk vowing to rehire the Doge staffer who resigned just yesterday after being linked to racist social media posts. An account that appears to be connected to that staffer, 25-year-old Marco Ellis, posting in December, quote, I just want a eugenic immigration policy. In September, there was this, quote, normalize Indian hate. Coming to his defense today, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, whose wife and children, of course, are Indian Americans. Vance posted, quote, "I obviously disagree with some of Velez's posts, but I don't think stupid social media activity should ruin a kid's life."
Another Doge worker, Edward Korstein, who called himself Big Balls on social media.
A young technologist known online as Big Balls, who works for Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency.
Yes, he goes by Big Balls. The experts Wired site say that Edward Korstein, that is, aka Big Balls.
So this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online. So that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside Doge.
The television network that employed Jeffrey Toobin is offended that Elon Musk employs a 19-year-old who goes by the name Big Balls. Musk himself chimed in, writing, "Personally, I voted for Big Balls."
Yeah, let's let a 19-year-old who goes by Big Balls handle the situation. Very confidence-inspiring.
Edward Korstein, who called himself Big Balls on social media, was fired from an internship with a data security firm called Path Network in 2022, accused of leaking information to a competitor. A spokesperson telling CNN his contract was terminated after the conclusion of an internal investigation into the leaking of proprietary company information that coincided with his tenure. The injection of unconventional outsiders is alarming some federal employees. This man, who spoke at a Virginia congressman's town hall this week, didn't identify himself out of fear of retaliation.
We had Elon Musk in our building, and after he visited the building, called for a 50% cut of the entire agency. My colleagues are getting 15-minute one-on-one check-ins with 19, 20, and 21-year-old college graduates asking to justify their existence.
Most of the hires are connected to Elon Musk's companies, like Ethan Chautran.
This is a really exciting time for young folks, for old folks, for everyone.
He was a runner-up in a hackathon contest put on by XAI, an artificial intelligence company Musk founded. Chautran spoke in 2023 about how AI will change the future.
Really, for the first time in modern history, it's not the physical laborers, the farmers, the factory workers who are being displaced, but it's the white-collar workers, the knowledge workers, the engineers, lawyers, doctors, teachers. And for a lot of the folks in this room, that's really scary. That's really concerning.
Now Chautran is a special government employee, a source tells CNN. Gavin Kleiger on LinkedIn lists his job as special advisor to the U.S. Office of Personnel Management. A 2020 Berkeley graduate, Kleiger worked in Silicon Valley for Twitter and then for a data intelligence company. He spoke about that work at a conference in 2023.
Additionally, any system with a human in the loop is not going to scale well.
In blog posts last year, Kleiger wrote about two of Donald Trump's then nominees and showed himself as fiercely loyal to the now president. Kleiger recently removed a Substack post where he charged $1,000 to subscribe and read, "Why Doge? Why I gave up a 7-figure salary to save America."
We didn't pay.
Elon is doing a great job, but I would like to see him get more aggressive. Remember, we have a country to save, but ultimately to make it greater than ever before. MAGA. There are so many things wrong with what he said, but let's start with Elon Musk is doing a great job, for starters. Trump and Musk have been boasting about Doge's supposed success with all their cost cutting across the U.S. government. Well, this week, Doge is bragging about saving $55 billion. But according to analysis from multiple news organizations, that number is wildly inflated. Doge claims it saved $7.2 billion by canceling over 1,000 contracts. But when the Washington Post looked closer, they found something ridiculous. Many of those contracts were already finished and fully paid. You can't cancel something that's already over. Politico found even more glaring issues. Some single pots of money were counted multiple times, inflating savings by 2, 3, or even 4 times. And Doge has already had to correct its website twice. Once around the time New York Times caught an $8 million contract falsely listed as $8 billion. And again, after it removed a $655 million contract that had been counted 3 separate times.
That an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact check this, it apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. If it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
Mr. Musk, can you talk a little bit about how closely you're working with agency heads as you're directing these cuts? Do they have how much input do agency heads have when you're making these decisions?
Yeah, we work closely with the agency heads, there are sort of checks in place. So it's not just us just going in and doing things willy-nilly. It's in partnership with the agency heads, and I check frequently with the president to make sure that this is what the president wants to have happen. So we talk almost every day, and I double check things to make sure, is this something, Mr. President, you want us to do this? Then we'll do it.
So much for all of Musk's claims that Doge provides full transparency. And that takes us to another glaring issue. Trump and his White House cannot agree on whether Musk is the one actually running Doge. When Trump signed the executive order on day one, he didn't name a leader, just some administrator. All of this controversy did not stop Elon Musk from stealing the spotlight at CPAC on Thursday with this stunt.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
That cringeworthy moment comes from someone who's officially not part of the U.S. government. And worst of all, he is making a complete mockery of the damage his cost-cutting has actually done to everyday Americans in the real world.
All right, so there we go with a little view on the illegitimacy of Doge. Some of the cast and characters behind this brainchild of Donald Trump. So we'll start with MD on this one. MD, what did you think of Big Balls and everybody else associated with Doge?
So let me get a shout out to Man Talk Monday. In particular, my favorite guy on Man Talk Monday, Wayne, did this one for you. This is the evolution of the alt-right. What we saw in the first term, we saw the sprouting of the idea of the possibilities of what the alt-right could be. Shrouded in tendencies of an incel nature. Let's just put it that way. We know that the alt-right was heavily involved in the quote unquote manosphere community. I ain't put black there. Notice I didn't do that. I understand that's something different, supposedly. But that's where it comes from. We know this for a fact. Go read the book The Black Pill by Ellie Reed. She go into vivid detail about this and name all the players, Richard Spencer, all of them. Now we see the manifestation of what the alt-right envisioned back in 2016. Let's also take into account that these are pawns. Let's just keep that real. These people were strategically put in this position to take the charge, so to speak. Because when it's all said and done, trust and believe, investigations will be orchestrated and charges will be filed. Because everything that they do is illegal as hell. So why not put it on the 19, 20-year-old? What they used to tell us when we was in the hood, we was a young dudes. Y'all young, y'all to get out and have us go do the dirt on behalf of the OGs and stuff. That's all this is. It's a hood game. They know that when normalcy of the rule of law get back into play, it's a done deal. Elon ain't going to jail. Big Balls did it. That's just a fact. We seeing all this play out. Now, a couple of weeks ago, just to give context, they tried to say this person, I think her name was Amy Gleason, said she was the real leader of Doe. I don't even know who the hell that is. Nobody knows. They know what they're doing is what I'm trying to tell you. Everything that they're doing violates the appointment clause in the Constitution. Everything. This is not real. Now, mind you, how did they create those? They just didn't create it out of thin air. It was the Digital Assets Division within the federal government. They just renamed it. This person, Amy Gleason, was head of the digital asset. They said she found out that she was quote unquote head of Doge. She was on vacation. She didn't know what the hell was going on. And we still haven't seen her, ain't got no statement from her to this day. They playing everybody for a fool because they know all of this stuff is illegal. All of it. Per the Constitution. So these young men are getting played for the fool because they look at themselves as the evolution of the alt-right. You saw the social media post that one of the dudes put out. So you know what time it is with them. Even the chink, you know what time it is with him. All of them go into that manosphere, self-improvement, incel, all that's the ilk. And what better way to stick it to the man, to the system that's done held him down for so long. They are the harbingers. And they'll gladly fall on that sword. They'll gladly do it. In the name of all that's alt-right. Hey, here it is, folks. Here it is. And they doing it in such a way that violates y'all's and mine's freedoms and protections as far as our personal information. They don't give a damn. So when you look at everything that's going on, and when it's all said and done, when the charges start being filed, because they gonna come. Once the Democrat, I'm saying 2026, once the Democrats get in office, it's on and popping. It's gonna be oversight of subpoenas and left and right. And they're gonna be coming at Elon and Trump to a certain degree. Hell, I say if they get the majority back in 26, one of the first things they need to do is file articles of impeachment. The first thing. And what comes with that, we got to have investigations. And that's when Elon, because Elon ain't gonna never go before a House or a Senate committee. Never. It ain't happening. He ain't never answered no question. You can kill that. The only way you're gonna be able to do it is subpoena him. That's the only way. Right now, it's no processes of ordering a subpoena because everything is Republican control. But as soon as you get back majority in 26, the first thing you do, file articles of impeachment. Second thing, everybody get a subpoena. Everybody. You going before the oversight committee, veteran affairs. I don't give a damn what committee. You going to it. And you're gonna testify under oath. And everything is gonna come out. Everything. Or they may say to hell with it like Steve Bannon did and just say, I ain't going. I'd rather go to jail. So we'll see, folks. We'll see. But this Doge thing, I'm telling you, man, this Doge thing, and one more thing, and I'm done. The website. I went on the website. I think this was last week. It literally tells you nothing. It's just up there. They'll have a number saying, as of such and such, this amount of money. Don't tell you nothing. But this is supposed to be about transparency and all of that. The shit is made up. They're not finding nothing. They just firing a whole bunch of people. And through legislation, because that's the only way they're going to be able to do it, they're going to cut a whole bunch of people Medicaid and Social Security. And they're going to use that as justification, even though it's not real, because, again, the money it makes itself in the federal government. They're going to use those cuts as justification for this massive tax cut that they're about to give. That's all it is. Again, I said it a couple of weeks ago. It's akin to finding change in the damn couch. That's all it is. And then you go to the store and buy your drink or whatever. That's all this is. But people ain't hip to it, man. They ain't hip to it.
All right, thanks, MD. Ricardo, what are your thoughts here on Doge?
So this is almost reminiscent of, and even though it's not quite, but it's kind of along the same lines. Remember when we had September 11th come in and we were like, oh my God, the terrorists, oh my God, we got to do something, and they did something. What ended up happening was privacy became an issue, where they did this whole, MD might have to fill in the gaps for me. They did this oversight where they were like, okay, well, there's certain intelligence that's coming in about certain things, so we need to put in provisions. And they put in provisions where Bush then put in, what was that thing called again? It's this thing where it was refresh my memory.
The Patriot Act?
Yes. Where they were like, oh, we're gonna pass this act and it's supposed to protect the American citizens. You know what they end up doing? What they end up doing?
Spying on everybody.
It spied on everybody, and not only that, we got so used to this one term, and hear me out here. The term went, oh, but we have to, and see if it jogs your memory if you remember well, where everybody went with this narrative of, oh, we have to give up something to then protect our security, and that is your privacy. That was crazy to me. That moment to me was like, wait, what? What do you mean? So they could literally go in and surveillance your phone without you knowing. They could go in and listen to your private conversations. They could watch you online. They could do everything. Pretty much, it's like Eagle Eye, if you guys remember that movie. Literally, they could go in anytime, anywhere, under the guise of the Patriot Act. I was like dumbfounded, because I was like, okay, people are going to rise up and they're going to say something. You know what everybody ended up saying? Oh, but, for the sake of security, you're going to have to give up something, and we don't mind giving up. I said, wow. You think you're going to pass that bullcrap in Canada? Oh, absolutely not. You think you could do that in Europe? Mind you, I'm not saying they haven't done it, but the people would literally have to come in and say, wait a minute, the fine print ain't fighting here, because how is it that you're going to, isn't that against the Constitution for you to go against? And literally, we all went with that narrative. Now, speed forward from 2001 to now, what have we seen since then? There's a whole bunch of stuff we gave up. We gave up the rights to so now you can go into my phone, my iPhone if you want to. If my password is there, if it's blocked, because now I think the law enforcement has an issue with Apple where everything is encrypted now, so they claim. So if you have they're trying to get into your private information into your phone, they have to go through his Apple backdoor for them to then give them access. Literally everything is like that now. So when I hear of Doge or whatever you want to call it, I become concerned, because I'm like, wait a minute. When you add Elon Musk to the fact that he has Starlink or Skylink or whatever you want to call this damn thing, it sounds like a damn Terminator friggin' operative name. Satellites above the Earth, with God knows they speed around more so than the International Space Station. You then have me concerned about everything else that his hands is involved in, and everything is involved with Elon Musk. Nobody's calling it out. So that becomes a concern to me when it comes to privacy, because there's so much they're doing They went and gutted a whole bunch of stuff. Not to say that previous administration wasn't doing that before, but my God, you guys are not thinking like how I'm thinking here, where it's like there's so much involved here. And then he brought up a good, valuable point. Elon is not going to take the bait for none of this. He's going to literally be like, he's going to let the short man take the fall. And what I mean by that is he's going to say, oh, but you see these smart MIT people that, President Trump said we need to be putting in the FAA or putting in here or putting in here. These young kids, that are coming out of college, blame them. So they're the ones that literally put in so and so in the computer. They're the ones that did this. I didn't do anything. I just was the overseer of all of this. So, sir, you're telling me that you have nothing to do with this? That's literally what he's gonna do. When that time comes, that's literally how they're gonna spin the narrative. There's always some correlation to something. That concerns me because I'm like, we should have been paying attention to all of this. And again, I can't hearken the Democrats enough. You got to rise to the occasion right now. You heard Steele's like, y'all sitting on your asses not doing nothing. Y'all need to be the opposition and stand up because no one elected Musk to do anything. I get the president said he needs to, cut whatever, but the people did not select him. So why is he going in gutting certain things? That's not your job, sir. We have checks and balances in place. And to MD's point, when the Democrats come in, because they will come back, absolutely they will. When midterms circle back in 2026, they will be back. And best believe the Republicans know this. So they're going to try everything. You hear them all the time talk about stealing elections. Oh, you're going to see a bunch of stealing going on with the gerrymandering and everything else that they're going to put into play here leading into 2026. It won't surprise me. But when the Democrats come back, I need to see oversight. I need to see everything in place and subpoena every one of them because we need to hear everything that they've been doing from the moment the administration came in. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit, MD, if Elon Musk has something over Trump. Mind you, we said the same thing about Putin, but I believe there's something there that we're not seeing. And I find it strange because I don't know why is it that he's involved in every freaking goddamn photo op. I've seen more of Elon Musk than I've seen more of the vice president. That's a concern to me. I did not, under no circumstance, vote for a random South African guy that now denounces his South African citizenship sometime last week. Now all of a sudden he's an American citizen. Now it's when it's convenient to you. Sir, we know you're a South African. You can't hide the fact. Now the fact that South Africa denounces you and said they don't even want you anymore is enough to tell you a whole bunch of lot. But money speaks where money speaks. I want to see all of this because I know I added my dirty throat, my dirty throat in there. Where's Deep Throat when you need him, or him? Was it a him or her? Deep Throat was Nixon's era, right? MD. If y'all don't know the aliases back then, there's Big Balls, there's Deep Throat. It wouldn't be surprising if Big Cunt is next, because everything everything is sex with these people. Don't let it fool you. Like they seem also so sweet and serene. But at the end of the day, everybody's dirty. So we're going to call it out for what it is. But Deep Throat, I believe, was Nixon's era. He was the one that blew the whistle on Nixon. With
That is correct.
It was Watergate, right? I don't remember so much, but I remember that much.
Watergate, yeah.
Deep Throat and Watergate, that is correct.
Yeah. Deep Throat, I remember, because I know my dirty ass growing up always stick to the dirty words. So Deep Throat was always connected to Nixon. That much I knew. And I remember
the movie.
And I remember "I'm Not a Crook," which was another famous line from Nixon. If y'all watched, was it a Cronkite movie that came from MD? If you remember, I don't know if you saw that movie, but that's a whole other story. But I say all of this to say, like, it's funny because if you've literally watched history play out from 2001 with the Patriot Act until now. If y'all don't know what the Patriot Act is, please go read it up because it was very defining as a moment for this country in terms of you losing your privacy, in terms of your security and everything. That went through the door after September 11 when Bush brought that into the House and it passed. That literally changed. That should have literally worried everybody from that moment on. Because for you to have surveillance to phone, to private conversations, to whatever your interaction is, to the point now where if you're coming to this country, if you've never traveled in a while outside of this country and you're coming back in, you're literally being scanned with fingerprints, with iris scan, with all of that. So literally, Eagle Eye, the movie, was not a joke. It literally is here. It's right now. That's what you're seeing. Where the real IDs, all of that, that came from the Patriot Act. TSA came from the Patriot Act. All of that came from that. To now where you see Dodge or whatever you want to, it can sound like a freaking car. Doge now coming in and say, oh, but we're going in, and Trump now saying something crazy along the lines of, oh, we don't need DEI, or we need to be hiring MIT graduates. Nothing is wrong with that. But when you have these young kids that are nerds that all they do is they can't find a girl, like, you know, and you speaking, tell me if I'm wrong here, Twin. Where you have these young college dudes that probably are not even getting none, or probably like so nerdish or whatever, that don't even know better, are being spoiled by the narrative of, maybe MD's right here, the alt-right, where they think, oh, the country was going down this path. And again, Democrats, you can't blame nobody but yourselves for this, with the alphabet community and all of what we saw, what, you know, coming into full circle here. The alt-right coming and saying, hey, we didn't like the transition where the country is going, so we're going to get all these white people that are men who are like so-and-so, and notice how he said it, straight blunt, because I encounter these people every day. As much as they speak underneath their breath and they act like they're so-and-so. They're the ones that are literally saying, oh, but if they wipe off Gaza off the face of the earth, I wouldn't care. Or if you so-and-so and get rid of the Hindus, these are the people that are literally out there. They're in certain spots, certain jobs, in law enforcement, they're in the army, they're every freaking way you can think of. There are like multitudes of them, but you don't see them really, but you hear them and you hear them speak. And when you listen keenly to certain people when they talk, and you go, you know, that didn't come out like I think it's exactly what you think it is. Those people are everywhere, and they're very prevalent now since the election. And I've seen it every day. And, you know, I hear, you know, they snuffled certain words and, you know, certain phrases under their breath. And I'll be like, I heard what you said, but you know what? I follow up with a quick, you know, remark just to let them know I know what you said, but I'm not going to make that fly. But people, Doge or Douche or whatever you want to call this, that blasted thing, this should have been a concern, but it came from the previous administration. It's just put on a different name, like MD said. What I want y'all to focus on now going forward is what they're doing behind the scenes. If no one's calling out what is happening in terms of your privacy being violated, in terms of all of that, I still don't understand, MD, how comes the Democrats can't subpoena or do something right now in terms of what Elon Musk is doing. But again, it's checks and balances, right? When you have a House run by the Republicans and the Senate run by the Republicans and a president that is a so-called Republican, this is what you're going to get. And this is a concern that should concern everybody, because you all went for populism in here, just like Brexit was. Now the British people are now thinking, second guessing why they left the European Union, but that's a whole other conversation. Y'all need to understand what the repercussions are when y'all pick things for the moment. Y'all need to think long-term in terms of how it affects you in the long run. This is going to be a concern going forward when it comes to privacy, when it comes to your security. All of that should be a worry, because these little young folks that are coming from MIT or wherever they want to pick them from literally goes in and see all your information, and they don't have an overseer watching them. So the police don't have somebody policing them. That should worry you. But that's a whole topic for another day. So let me shut up from now.
All right. Look like Mike is off the panel. He fell off. We're just gonna go to Mike. Okay, so there's a 1 second clip. 1 minute clip of Elon Musk talking about Democrats and illegal aliens voting Democrat. Let's take a look at that short clip real quick, and then we'll get our thoughts.
In an interview yesterday, Musk also claimed Democrats use such programs to attract illegal immigrants and to turn them into voters. Take a look.
I mean, the way support in entitlement spending, you know, which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. That's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $600-700 billion a year. That is also a mechanism by which the Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them to come here and then turning them into voters.
Yes.
So this is why the Democrats are so upset about the situation, because they're losing. If we turn off this gigantic money magnet for illegal immigrants, then they will leave, and they'll lose voters.
All right. So, MD, what do you think about what Elon Musk just said there, justifying the cutting of Social Security as a deterrent to stop the dastardly Democrats from using that as a tool to have voters on their side?
It's retarded. I mean, how are entitlements like beholden to one party or another? Like that sounds stupid. If anything, it should be beholden to Republicans if we're gonna use that logic, because most of them are on these entitlements. So, like, what are we talking about? How can you say Democrats are the elites and they beholden to donors and whatnot so forth, and then turn around and say entitlements are the problem, when yet your voter base are the ones that mostly own the entitlement? It don't make sense, Van Cat, is what I'm trying to tell you. We know, and let's just take it away from just entitlements on its own. SNAP, TANF, if we gonna talk about Social Security, SSI for a lot of disabled people that live in red states in the middle of nowhere, podunk USA. These are the people that's mostly on the entitlements. And that's a problem that we got to deal with. See, we fell into the stigma, right, of entitlements and social safety nets being linked with the inner city, which is BS. We know that. From a percentage standpoint, way more of the podunks are on those same programs than the inner city is. So what are we talking about at the end of the day? But you can't tell that to a podunk because they believe something different. Going back to the MAGA maniac ideology. They dumb as hell, Fat Cat, is what I'm trying to tell you. So no, they're not justifying they doing it. They coming up with BS arguments and excuses. If I hear waste, fraud, and abuse again, my head gonna blow off. Because that's all you ever hear. Waste, fraud, and abuse. What waste, fraud, and abuse? You got to give me some details on what's going on, is what I'm trying to tell you. But we're not getting the detail. They talk about transparency. Where is it? I ain't got no problem with waste, fraud, and abuse being cut. But I question the waste, fraud, and abuse. I don't, if it's there, it's minuscule. I know that for a fact. This is the federal government we're talking about. Mind you, and this is the ironic part about it. The people that are in charge to get rid of that quote unquote waste, fraud, and abuse is the bureaucracy. So which one are we getting rid of? The waste, fraud, and abuse, or the bureaucracy? Or both? You get rid of both, can't nobody get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. Or are you the bureaucracy itself? I would argue the latter. You ain't trying to get rid of the bureaucracy. You want to be the bureaucracy. That's all it is at the end of the day. Because the bureaucrats are the ones that hold the power when it comes to appropriation. That's how it was meant to be. The administrative branch. Led by the president. That's just how it was written. I can't change it. So if we look at it from that standpoint, in layman's terms, all you saying is, hey, look, we about to cut as many people as we can off Social Security so we can justify us getting these tax cuts. That's it. You don't think that they know? And even still, because again, everybody's a dumbass. Even still, they could do the tax cuts, no problem. It's going to be trillions of dollars in the deficit. But at the end of the day, who gives a damn? They know dumbasses give a damn about that. So they say, okay, let's cut some stuff to justify the tax cut. It's simple as that. That's all this is. It's not hard to understand. That's all this is. If Trump wanted to do the tax cuts tomorrow, he could do it. No problem. Again, it's going to be trillions of dollars in the deficit. You know, in the eyes of the scorekeepers, that ain't a good look. So it ain't too much else you can really say about it. Like, it ain't gonna benefit your black ass, that's for sure.
All right, thanks, MD. Ricardo, what do you think about Elon's statement here? Thinking Democrats are benefiting from illegal immigrants mooching off the system and voting Democrat because, hey, that's what they do. That's what they do. What do you think?
That's a complete farce in itself, but I get the angle of who he's dog whistling to. It's all a narrative that's been spun to suit the occasion, to try to keep the base of who they're appealing to. Look, it's easy for the dog whistling to go in one direction because again, it's harkening to the white nationalists, aka the evangelical crowd, aka the MAGA crowd, aka the Tea Party, aka all these people bundle up into one sequence of thing, where they're saying they're trying to make America progress, in a direction or make it great again or whatever you want to. America was always great. I mean, on the basis of the backbone of black people building it. Hey, black people built the White House, by the way. So, and you continuously steal, inventions and stuff from black folks, but that's a whole other thing. When you say illegal immigrants lean towards Democrats, it's not that they lean towards Democrats, Elon Musk, is that the Democrats, appeal more to immigrants that come in because, there are many, plethora of things that aid immigrants coming in. Can you imagine what it feels like, coming into a country brand new, where you're leaving stuff behind to then you have to assimilate all together into a brand new culture, brand new country, brand new everything, and you literally have to now pick up because this country teaches you once you come here and you're in the United States, you're now American. You leave everything you have behind. You're no longer so and so anymore. You're now American. They don't believe in dual citizenship. America doesn't believe in that. It's either you're American or you're not American. So the aspect of illegal immigrants, and mind you, we touched on this multiple times in different segments of variations of the show. Illegal immigration is not necessarily a bad thing for this country. There's many illegal people that are here that are doing under the table things, meaning they're the ones that are cultivating your agriculture. They're the ones that are actually in your real estate doing, the building of many multitudes of buildings that are being built across this country. There are many immigrants that are doing things that you wouldn't do. You average Americans that think you're above means and you think you're above, everyone else, and you don't want to touch dirty things and you don't clean up poop and you don't. These are what the immigrants, and not to say every immigrant, illegal immigrant does, but some of them, these are what they're doing. And we've seen this literally in the state of Florida when DeSantis did his whistleblowing and scared off a whole bunch of illegal immigrants. And guess what? We've come to find out that most of them were in either real estate, they were in agriculture, picking the state famous oranges that people need to cultivate. The average typical white person is not going to be picking oranges. You think they're going to go and toil in the soil and get dirty and get dirt and muck all over themselves? Hell no. It's the low paying jobs that the illegal immigrants are willing to take up to feed themselves and their families is the ones that literally are doing these jobs that then you run off. And then when you run them off, who you think you're gonna get the average Joe down the street that's gonna be, these illegal people, they're the ones that are coming to the country taking our jobs. But yet, when the opportunity presents itself for you to go do their job, you're going, but I don't clean poop and I don't pick, fruits and I don't do. Yeah, you people are who I'm talking about. It's the hypocrisy of all this nonsense that the narrative fits and suits in terms of the dog whistling that always gets me. Again, the Democratic Party knows how to appeal to certain demographics, and you can't blame them. But when you say it's eating, and again, MD brought up a good point. You can't complain about something and then you're doing the same exact thing. It's screaming hypocrisy 101, Elon Musk, because it's like, what are you talking about? But again, it suits the narrative of who he's going after. The narrative is to appeal to a base that is thinking things are changed or things have changed way too much for them to understand. So therefore, they have to bring it back to how it was. You're not going to bring back manufacturing here because it's too expensive to do. You're not going to bring back steel back here into this country because we're too globalized now. You're not going to bring back warehouses back to this country because it's way too expensive. It's way cheaper to do it in Thailand and the rest of the Asian countries. So unless there's something that Trump is willing to do overnight where he could appeal to that, I doubt you're going to see that. You're not going to bring back coal into this country because who really uses coal that much here? But it sounds good, right? It sounds good to say fracking and coal and all these things that harken back to how it was back in the day. The world is globalized now. And what globalized means is no one part is being made in one just said country. It's built in multitudes of countries and then brought in and then collectively built in that one country. Like an aircraft part, the tail is built in Germany. The engine is built in Britain from Rolls-Royce. The wing is built in France. So literally, where they all come to, they bring it to this country and build it in Alabama. That's how it works. That's the globalized world. It doesn't work in terms of the context of you thinking like how it was in 1986 or in the 50s. That's not how the world works. But again, it's appealing to a certain segment of the population that feel things are changing. And so Elon Musk is going to say whatever he says. Donald Trump is going to say the same thing. It's almost like a rally cry like they do every single now and then to make themselves look like they're doing something important, but it's really a whole bunch of gibberish and crap. So until they could give me transparency, which they claim they're doing, it's just a whole bunch of hogwash. But that's just me saying that.
All right, Mike, I put the link in the chat. I put another link in there in case you wanted to come back up. Before we go into lame duck, I'm going to show one more thing related to Elon Musk. And this is Tesla's stock pretty much crashing. So let's take a look at that and we'll be back.
Down more than 5% today, with the stock on pace to notch a seventh straight down week. And after a big post-election run-up, shares now 43% below their December 17th closing record. The downdraft coming as CEO Elon Musk takes on a more prominent and polarizing role in Washington than originally thought, also sparking a wave of protests and incidents of vandalism at Tesla facilities here in the United States.
Tesla's stock has dropped by nearly half in 3 months, losing most of the gains it made following the US election last year, when CEO Elon Musk helped fund the victory of President Donald Trump. Despite its market capitalization dropping 45% from December's all-time highs of $1.5 trillion, investors are still debating whether the EV maker remains overpriced. Tesla continues to fetch a valuation far above those of the world's biggest automotive and technology firms. That's because investors are betting on Musk's visions of Tesla's tomorrow rather than its profits today. They've bought Musk's pitch that Tesla's not really a car company at all, but an AI pioneer that will soon unleash a revolution in robotaxis and robots. And Musk's political clout has convinced bullish analysts that Trump will clear regulatory roadblocks for robotaxis. But Musk's promises every year since 2016 for the imminent arrival of driverless cars are yet to be realised. Texas, where Musk promises to launch robotaxis by June, has barred cities from regulating them. Reuters found that Tesla's EV business accounts for almost all of its revenue, but less than a quarter of its stock market value. Tesla's total worth of $845 billion still tops the next 9 most valuable automakers combined, which collectively sold about 44 million cars last year compared to Tesla's 1.8 million. And the widening gap between Tesla's real-world performance and analysts' earning estimates for unborn products has prompted some to warn of irrational optimism. The stock's decline stems from falling vehicle sales and profits, as well as Musk's political activity.
Elon Musk!
Either in protest against his mass firings of US government workers as a senior Trump advisor, or due to investor worries that politics is distracting Musk from focusing on his money spinner.
Was hit hard with its steepest drop in 5 years. CEO Elon Musk's controversial role in the White House causing fallout for the company.
And for some who drive Teslas as well. Our Charlie DeMar spoke with a repair shop and drivers about the impact.
Oh, hey, oh, Elon Musk has got to go.
Weekend protests at the Chicago Gold Coast Tesla dealership were peaceful. In New York, there were arrests after a demonstration at a Tesla showroom. Last week in Oregon, the windows of a dealership were shattered by bullets. And in Massachusetts, a Tesla charging station went up in flames.
Us Tesla drivers are a little bit under attack.
Back in Chicago, Ed, who asked us not to use his last name, was parked on Lakeshore Drive last month when he says his blue Tesla was vandalized, with a clear message to Tesla's co-founder, Elon Musk.
And I look and I see in giant white spray painted letters, F Elon. You could probably fill in the blank. For what? It didn't affect Elon, and it's something that I had to deal with.
I've seen a lot of vandalism cases over the years, but this one might take the cake.
The profane graffiti was buffed out at Richard's Body Shop in Albany Park.
They're getting vandalized just for no reason, just because they're driving Teslas.
Thank you. This is a lifesaver today.
Owner Eddie Zipperstein says what happened to Ed's blue Tesla is not isolated. A Tesla owner and now customer recently sent Zipperstein this video taken in Chicago that shows a white Chevy hitting the bumper, backing up and then accelerating again, damaging the car. The driver gets out and walks away.
In Chicago, yes, when parking, sometimes bumpers kiss.
That was not a kiss. That was intentional. That one was, they sped back up and rammed right into him intentionally.
The owner of this body shop says he's not only fixed vandalized Teslas, he's also been targeted for owning one.
Yeah, this is my car and I see it, I get it myself. The kind of car you drive shouldn't be like a reason to get attacked.
Ed says ultimately it's Tesla owners like him suffering the consequences, not Elon Musk.
If you're trying to make an impact or make a statement, do something more productive. Be an activist, get out there and, spread your message in a more positive way. Don't affect a random person and spray paint graffiti on their car.
Vowing to buy a Tesla after the company's stock plunged. Critics blame CEO Elon Musk's focus on his White House role for the stock slide, while protesters are targeting Tesla dealerships across the country. Now, the president is defending his advisor, posting on Truth Social that Musk shouldn't be punished for helping to make America great again.
Wow. That's beautiful. This is a different panel than I've had. Everything's computer. That's beautiful. Wow.
Tesla shares opened down 15% after their worst trading day in 5 years. The stock has dropped every week since Chief Executive Elon Musk went to Washington, wiping out more than $700 billion in market value.
I think that can be tied to his time at Doge. It has been a distraction for the company, and it's been a problem for the brand.
Some critics of Musk's role in cutting the federal workforce are targeting Tesla, putting these stickers over the logo.
What the?
And protesting outside dealerships across the country, some even vandalized. The stock slide alarms those who oversee public pension funds that invest in Tesla.
There's no real leadership. It is at the bottom of his list. And so we have not had at Tesla a CEO focused on selling EVs, on growing the company, on making money and returns for shareholders.
In an interview on Fox Business, Musk was asked how he balances his businesses with his role in the White House.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty.
All right, there we go. So, MD, what do you think about the backlash here that you see Elon getting? Stock market for Tesla not doing that great. Owners of Tesla vehicles getting vandalized. Just a lot of turmoil for the Tesla brand right now. What do you think, MD?
Yeah, I don't condone nobody going to go vandalize a personal vehicle. That's some BS. You can go in the dealership and do whatever you want. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? But anybody personal vehicle, I don't condone doing that. The young man was correct. Like, yeah, you know, it's other ways to express your grievance. You know what I'm saying? And protest is a great way. Um, I don't believe he's going through the day-to-day operation of Tesla. I just don't. I don't believe it, not one bit. How? It's impossible. He in DC every day. Like what is he doing? If I'm on the Tesla board, I want to know what the hell is going on. That's a fact. Get your autistic ass in here so we can make some money. He's not doing that. I'm assuming that it's a board of directors just like any other major company. I would get his ass up out of there. Vote him out. If you want to do Doge, go do Doge. We got it. And maybe that would help the growth of the brand itself. I don't know. But as long as it's tethered to Elon, this is going to continue to happen. Just like the market as a whole. You got to get him up out of there. Like I said, I don't know much about markets, but I know that. I know that you can vote a guy out and all that stuff if he ain't doing what he's supposed to do, despite whether he founded the company or not. Now, to the point that it was saying in the beginning of the video, and I think Ricardo made this point as well. Yeah, this Skynet. Maybe it is not about the Tesla vehicle per se. It's about Skynet. I'm not getting my ass in no driverless taxi telling, nah, it ain't happening. I seen Stephen King Maximum Overdrive. I ain't getting in no damn car. Hell no. Just like the same with the trucks. Nope, ain't happening. It ain't happening. If I ain't behind the wheel and I can't control it, hey, I can't do it. Hell, half the time I don't want to get in no Uber with a regular person driving. So yeah, man, it's Skynet. Starlink is, if Starlink is what's controlling everything and something happened and the robots and everything start killing T1000, T850, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm straight on that. But again, this is the ultimate plan when it comes to the techno feudalist society. Because that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. The technocrats gonna control everything, and we're gonna be tilling the digital soil. We're gonna be doing the digital work and paying tribute to the techno lords. That's what this ultimately coming down to. And us as a people, like I said, I ain't the collective guy, but I understand when it comes to politics, you must work as a collective in order to get individual benefit. We can at the very least do that. So let it burn. I ain't got no problem with it. Go and Tesla, tear every damn thing up. I don't care.
You sound like Mike right now.
I sound like I understand the premise what Mike talks about, but I'm saying the goal between me and Mike is different because at the end of the day, collective action to me is for individual profit or individual benefit. I don't think Mike take that route. Might go to more toward like a centralist type idea, and I don't believe in none of that. That's socialism, communism. I don't deal with none of that. But I do understand from a political level that the best course of action is to have a collective brand, which is cool. I never said from a political sense being a collectivist is a problem. But at the end of the day, it's all about what you get out of it, not what you give out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Elon and Tesla and all these other companies too, whether it's SpaceX or Starlink or whatever else he got going on. What's the thing he had when he was supposed to put the chip in your brain? I forget what it was called.
Oh my goodness.
Neuralink. That's what it was. And then you saw in the clip, Greg Abbott, punk ass, when they said, okay, he got the driverless Teslas going around. I believe it was Austin. Austin wanted to regulate how all that stuff was going to go, and Greg Abbott said no. What you mean ain't no regulations on a driverless car running around the city? and I'm the guy that's a minimalist when it comes to regulation. And hell, even I want regulation on that. It'd be like GTA, going on the sidewalk, killing a whole bunch. Nah, bro. Like, what are we doing? So, hey, we're in a kerfluffle, man. We are in a kerfluffle. But that's all I got on that.
All right, thanks, MD. Ricardo, what do you think about Tesla, the brand? How they're doing right now?
Yeah, it's one of those things where you gotta, I find it funny because I think he wanted to put, I'm talking about Musk here, wanted to have his hand in multiple pots and not realize the repercussions of what being involved in everything looks like. I think it's one of those moments now where I think, because even today I saw an article where I think he's using Trump now to try to get people to get back into, purchasing Teslas and all that. I don't think for the moment Teslas are. It was looked at as a novelty prize, like, oh, it's something they aim for. I think it's lost its cool luster factor now. I think most people look at Teslas as like looked down upon kind of vehicles. I don't see the novelty on them anymore. I don't think it's like I guess the first time they came out, they would look like a cool item, that, like something you would aim for. Now I think a lot of people just detest them. Even when I drive, past a Tesla, I see a lot of people just either being intentionally being just petty to like cut them off or do certain things. There's certain things you see. So I don't think in the moment, I think you're going to see a lot of people slowly but surely giving up the Teslas. Not to really have them that, because you're going to look like a target. I think that's what it's alluding to. It's sad, really, but it's one of those things when you mix business and pleasure, you can't do that. I think Elon needs to know better. If he's autistic, you can't use that as an excuse. But you can't mix business and pleasure, Musk. It just doesn't work out in the end for you. So now you're mixing, business and pleasure. Trying to be in both pots at the same time, it's not going to work. I think it's diluting your brand. And Tesla, to say the least, if y'all don't know who Tesla was, try to read up on who Tesla was. Actually, it was very important. It's not a brand per se, but where he got the name from was from a very important person, scientist in history. So I need y'all to know, like a lot of you youngins that are out there, they just don't really know who Tesla is, but you just think about the brand. But go back and read up on who he is, and then you kind of get an idea. But it's funny though that the Tesla name is associated with this moron. It's funny. Whereas his contribution to science has been profound, and if it wasn't for Edison taking all the credit in the end, as per usual when it comes to America, yes, I'm throwing a dig out there. You would think Edison would take the credit for every damn thing, but Tesla really was the one that, the reason why you have electricity, folks, in terms of in your home and it being free to you, is because of that man named Tesla. So that's a little history tidbit for y'all if y'all don't know, to go read up on it. But yeah, to come back to the point, I think Elon Musk really overdid himself. You bought Twitter and turned it into X. You have Tesla, you have Starlink, it's like you have too much stuff. And I think he, I don't want to go on a nickel babble thing, and take up time, but I want to just say that it's one of those things where I think he came into it thinking he's going to make a ton of money and everything is going to work in his favor and his plan. And I think he's getting a dose of his own medicine here, where you effort on and you find out. I think at the end of the day, supply and demand is one thing, but when people want to make a point and they're very poignant at their points that they're trying to make, they could use it as an example. And this is what you're seeing with Tesla. I think the brand now, if they want to continue, will need to kick him out in terms of him being in charge of the company. Because you can't run the government like apparently he's doing, which no one gave him the authority to do except for the president. I don't know why. And then run your own private company. It just won't work. It's a dilution of the brand, and brand significance is important at the end of the day. What I see in terms of a brand is what's going to either make me attracted to the brand or going to make me go, I'm not going to waste my money, spend on that and buy elsewhere. So it's a niche market for Teslas. I think at the end of the day, if you're a certain demographic that can afford it, by all means, go and buy a Tesla. If you don't want it, don't buy it. But, don't go and destroy people's property to make a point. I mean, like MD says, if I see you, touching my vehicle, I'm going to beat your ass to a pulp because you don't know how hard I work for my vehicle. But what that means stated, people have, this is the beauty about this country. You have the options, you have a plethora of options. You could choose whatever you want. And at the end of the day, if you want to go buy a Tesla, you could buy a Tesla. If you want to do certain things, you could do certain things. Other countries would restrict you, but at least America gave you that for now. We don't know how that's going to change in the future. But that's the beauty about living in this country. So, take it for a grain of salt for what it is. But I don't think the brand Tesla, in terms of car-wise, is going to do well for the foreseeable future. I could be wrong, but then the stocks might do well in terms of you purchasing stocks for them. They might shoot up through the roof if they could come up with some, random quick, thing that to save the day. So we'll see what happens. But I think he should step down. You can't run a company and then try to run this country. It just doesn't make sense. Contrary to what Donald Trump told y'all. But, I digress.
All right. Thanks, Ricardo. So now it's time for us to go into session. We're going to find out who is this week's lame duck of the week, the trash bag human of the absolute weakest people out there. Let's go.
First things first, in this lame duck session.
For the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready? Turn
We
off
go back
the
a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back on the first available flight I could take.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced.
I'm tired of being quiet.
I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
With great power comes great responsibility.
These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones. You see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it? These lights. You want to see a bird graveyard? You just go. Take a look. A bird graveyard? Go under a windmill someday. You'll see more birds than you've ever seen ever in your life.
Here's Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania today. People turned out to stand up for science. That was the name of the protest, to protest against the Trump administration's indiscriminate cuts to science in all ways. You can see some of the signs here. Fight for science, defend the NIH, defunding research is a recession plan. That's actually quite true. Got polio? No? Thanks, science. And you see where it says it's a Berg thing and the Salk vaccine there. The University of Pittsburgh is where Jonas Salk developed the polio vaccine. Across the state of Pennsylvania, outside City Hall in Philadelphia, look at this. This was this is impressive. This was the Stand Up for Science crowd outside Philly City Hall today. That's a big, look at that. That's a really big protest. A version of this sign we saw a few different places today. I love trans mice. All right. I know you didn't listen to Trump's speech to Congress this week. I saw the numbers. It was the least watched Trump State of the Union or joint speech to Congress of all the ones he's given. So I know you didn't watch. But one of the things he said in his speech was that one of the terrible liberal things that his top campaign donor had discovered was happening in government was research to make mice transgender. And he said that in his speech, and all the Republicans gasped and laughed and jeered because that was so terrible.
Central America, $60 million. $8 million for making mice transgender. This is real.
Has the government really spent $8 million on making mice transgender?
$8 million for making mice transgender.
Is it real? Here's some more context.
This is real.
The president made this claim during a joint address to the U.S. Congress on Tuesday, as he was speaking about the Department of Government Efficiency.
A group of very intelligent, mostly young people, headed up by Elon, and we appreciate it.
The president claimed that scientists are making mice transgender. The White House followed up on that claim, pushing out this release on Wednesday. It lists 6 government-funded health studies totaling around $8.3 million. We looked through all of them. Here is what we found. Scientists are not trying to make mice transgender. However, they are studying the impacts of hormone therapy, which can be used for gender-affirming healthcare. Is this claim true?
$8 million for making mice transgender.
Many of the studies were looking into hormone therapies and their impacts on health outcomes. However, there is no evidence in any of the research or the reports that we looked into that suggests these studies were funded specifically to make mice transgender.
For making mice transgender. This is real.
Actually, it's transgenic mice. And transgenic mice are used in all kinds of laboratory research because mice are transgenic when they have been genetically altered so you can study human illnesses and conditions in them even though they're mice. It is transgenic mice, you numbskulls. But sure, go ahead and shut down all the labs studying all the diseases because what are you, 5?
$8 million for making mice transgender.
Okay, that right there is wild.
I bet they're in prison. I bet they're in prison with the Latino transgenders.
That is wild. We're making transgender mouse.
Male circumcision in Mozambique.
But the transgenders are mad at Dave Chappelle's jokes.
Wow.
Sesame Street.
That was wild.
Nothing even like it. Under the Trump administration,
God, they put the transgender mouse thing on the screen.
Worse, but I didn't think it was appropriate
Wow.
to talk about them.
we just got him to stop giggling.
And swiftly terminated by a group of very intelligent.
They really leaning in on that one.
I'm trying to figure out what
we found.
What changed in the mouse to make it transgender?
It just had to have that cheese.
Is the mice getting like nipple implants or
no,
like
piercings?
What the hell is going on?
And we've taken back the money and reduced our debt to fight inflation and other things.
The Moochie
got back a lot of that money. We got it just in time.
I mean, that shit just blew my mind. I don't know what to say.
The Government
I don't know why.
Accountability Office
Those be making up
the
stuff.
country.
has
They
estimated
making up a lot
annual
of
fraud
stuff.
of over
They'll do whatever it
$500
takes.
billion.
If he would have said homosexual, I would have
working
kind
very
of
hard
understood
to stop
it.
it.
But he didn't say homosexual. He said
We're also
transgender.
identifying shocking levels
Nah,
of
homosexuals got
incompetence and
they're like
probable
the
fraud
old
in the
minority. They gotta attack
Social
the big
Security
dogs now.
program for our
Sure.
seniors,
Homo
and that
means
our
human,
seniors,
right?
Why are we
and people
changing
who
the
we
sex
love
of
rely
mice?
So mouse,
Believe it or
right,
not,
so the
government
mouse is
databases
The mice
show
just believe
4.7
they're
million
transgender.
Social Security members.
Oh, they had that feeling in them
People
Yeah,
since
they can
birth.
feel it in their hearts.
100 to
Since birth.
109 years old.
Yep. I woke up on a Thursday and I just knew.
It lists 3.6 million people from ages
Dive and a fact check on many of the claims the president made last night. I'm joined now by our White House correspondent, Laura Barone Lopez. Laura, so let's just start with some of the biggest claims of the night. What stood out to you in terms of the areas that President Trump focused on?
So this is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the key misleading, exaggerated, or false statements that the president made, starting with the fact that he said 21 million undocumented immigrants entered the United States under Biden. It was actually under 11 million, and many were rapidly expelled. He said that 350 billion has been spent on supporting Ukraine. It's actually just over 180 billion. That's according to the Ukraine Oversight Inspector General. And that includes money that's spent inside the U.S. on weapons manufacturing. The president also said that fentanyl coming from Canada is killing thousands. Actually, only 43 pounds of fentanyl was seized in 2024. 43 pounds of the fentanyl that was seized came from Canada, so about 0.2% of the total amount. And then lastly, the president said that millions are being spent on, quote, making mice transgender. That claim is false.
That last one there, Laura, making mice transgender. What's the reality there?
So again, the idea that scientists are making mice transgender is false. The kinds of research experiments that President Trump and the White House were pointing to is basic scientific research. These studies were not studying if gender-affirming care works. That's a legal medical treatment that's endorsed by major U.S. medical associations. These experiments were studying the effects of gender-affirming hormones on asthma and on whether gender-affirming hormones increase breast cancer risk. So the president spent a big chunk of his address repeating these false claims on Social Security.
We're also identifying shocking levels of incompetence and probable fraud in the Social Security program for our seniors, and that our seniors. 1.3 million people from ages 150 to 159, and over 130,000 people, according to the Social Security databases, are age over 160 years old.
Many of those claims have also been spread online by Elon Musk to his more than 200 million followers. But the reality is that 1% of Social Security Administration payments are improper and they're made to living people. And there are Americans in the system who were born in the 1920s. They're still in the Social Security Administration system, but that doesn't mean that they are receiving payments, which is something that the president's own Social Security administrator recently said. And also, Amna, the Social Security Administration automatically stops payments to people who are over the age of 115 years old.
So President Trump has also claimed that Elon Musk's team has found what he's called hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. He listed a number of those programs in his speech last night. Are those canceled government contracts, are they all fraudulent?
So the White House and Elon Musk have provided no evidence that those contracts that they have canceled are fraudulent. One example being the amount of money that FEMA sent to shelter migrants in New York City. That money was congressionally approved. It was voted on even by some Republicans. The president has labeled that fraud, and so has Elon Musk. So what they are essentially doing is they are calling on their wall of receipts that DOJ has, where they're showing the contracts that they say that they've canceled. They're calling a lot of those fraud, even though they haven't provided the evidence. And some of that wall of receipts has math errors. It has duplicate contracts. It has contracts cut that actually had no savings, and they admit it on that wall of receipts. And so essentially what's happening, Amna, is that the president and his allies are calling many of these contracts fraud simply because they disagree with the programs that are being funded.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go. There he is. That's him right there. There he is right there. Put the spotlight on this uniquely imbecilic dumbass. We're talking about Donald Duck, aka Donald Rat, aka Trump, the dumbass. This guy, number 74, lame duck. MD, what do you think of this trash bag human, Donald Duck?
Yeah, man. So transgender mice. Um, I'm still perplexed. Because I'm trying to figure out. Yes, we know is a falsity, but I'm trying to logically like think of how would that still be possible to this day from last week. I'm trying to like if that's what you think, hypothetically speaking, what would be the process? I'm baffled by this. Homosexual, okay, we can have a discussion about that. But transgender, that's crazy. And again, MAGA maniacs take that and run with it at 100 miles per hour. It's sad, man. It's sad. But I want to get into, speaking of that joint address, probably the most troubling thing to me was when he highlighted that young boy with the cancer and gave him it was a good moment. I'm not saying it's not. Gave him the Secret Service badge, made him honorary Secret Service. Cool. Feel good story. But then you turn around and eliminate the very funding to help save that young boy life. Make it make sense. Anybody, somebody, please. And then you bashing Democrats online saying, why didn't the Democrats stand up for that young man in receiving the Secret Service badge? You done eliminated NIH funding. The very funding that was researching his very cancer. This is crazy. This bizarro world, I'm telling you. I can't make heads or tails of it at all. So when we look at everything that's going on with Trump, the blatant lies that he tells, and then MAGA maniacs go and amplify that lie, makes Trump the duck. That's just a fact. We know that this is a weekly effect. So again, man, I'm still somebody gonna have to explain it to me, even if it may be something that ain't suitable for this program. Somebody gonna have to explain to me how is the mice being transgender.
But you see his level of hate. This is how deep rooted this guy's hate is. I mean, it doesn't matter. Facts be damned. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to bother to look into anything. That sounds like it's a bad thing towards people I don't like. I'm going all in. The fact that he ran with Haitians eating dogs. It wasn't even dogs. It was really ducks, geese, and cats. But then he turned it into dogs when he went up there on a big stage like that, millions of people watching, and he said a openly white supremacist hate speech, and he went national with that, worldwide even. And then you see here, he hears a little something about transgender. Oh, transgender? Okay. I'm going to run fully with that. He doesn't even try to, you know what? This is a little too much. Even if it's real, that's just, I don't know. But he goes all in, facts or not.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But the most egregious thing is that the fact that the MAGA maniacs run with it. And they'll defend it to their death. they'll defend it. They'll tweet it out. The hell with what anybody says that comes with logic and reason. The hell with that.
Well,
And
didn't he
they'll
win? Didn't he win the election because of that fake ad he put out with DJ Envy and Charlemagne talking about people in prisons or getting transgender sex changes or whatever?
Yeah, he
And-
did.
and
He did.
He ran with that. He paid what, 64 million or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, I mean, I guess the old adage is if you say it enough times, it'll become true. So again, man, we need I say it? Hell in the handbasket. Need I say it?
it's amazing, man. It's friggin' amazing that this guy is president right now. It's, oh Lord, the worst of all time. MD, I know you reserve your judgment, but the worst of all time.
This country is going to hell in a handbasket, and you know it. America today is a land of total chaos and confusion.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
There it is.
All right. So Ricardo, what do you think about trash bag human of the week? 74 variety.
I mean, we're on a roll here with him and the plethora of lies that he's been telling. It doesn't surprise me, but I don't think Trump does research when he says stuff. I think he just says a soundbite and it sounds like good for the moment for him, and he just runs with a narrative. It's baffling to me. That's why you have aides, sir. You have people that are supposed to be in your corner to tell you, but then again, he doesn't listen. We've known this from the previous administration that he doesn't listen to anyone, so it defeats the purpose. So he's gonna always make gaffes like these, but that was crazy that he said, because in my head too, I was trying to understand, how does a mice become transgender? Like, does a mice think and speak into the microphone and say, "Ooh," in mice voice, "I'm gonna be a transgendered mice"? Like, that doesn't even make sense, sir. Like, it's like, what are we talking about? Like, this is what we're doing now? Like, make it make sense, but it's for the moment. I guess he needed a laugh because he loves an audience. He loves, like, that whole speech, that whole congressional speech was really a campaign run for him. Again, one of the lowest watched in recent memory history, to be exact, because the numbers don't lie in terms of ratings. But it's warranted. I think it's one of those things where, and the other thing I wanted to add too, because it wasn't brought up that much, but they didn't put it in the last piece, was this whole fentanyl nonsense about Canada import. Canada is just a little blimp when it comes to fentanyl. I don't know where they get this from, this administration. You have more fentanyl coming through the Mexican border than it even does going through Canada. Like, if y'all have never driven to Canada, border-wise, it is so, like, regiment, like, strict. Like, there's certain things they look out for. They watch you like a hawk. Like, you can't do anything nefarious on the boat. Not to say you won't get away with certain things, but it's so, like, gridlock. Like, you couldn't get away with the majority of things that I think people think they could get away with going across the border. So that whole fentanyl thing is just a farce, just to make himself sound plausible, but it's just 1% out of probably 100% that goes through the border from Canada's end. So beyond ridiculous. But the lies, man, like, remember, we went through this the first administration in 2020. I don't understand. Again, if I can echo your sentiments, how is how is this possible that he's president again? The lies the first time didn't make sense. He told y'all to drink bleach. He then did the Sharpie with the hurricane going towards Louisiana when really it wasn't. It's like, there's certain things that he will say, and again, he doesn't sound smart to me. Like, an educated person not to hearken to anybody that's not educated. That's not what I'm doing. But for somebody who has the business acumen like he claims he has, speaks like somebody who is coming from a grade school, like not even like a fifth grade, child speak like that. So it's one of those things where it's just baffling. But yeah, a name duck is really beneficial for this week for him. Trump, what are you doing, sir? I can't anymore. I can't. It's turning my brain to mush. I'm done.
All right, Ricardo, thanks for that. I don't know if you guys seen, but there was a near plane crash. I have a little video here on that. I don't know if you guys seen this. It happened, I think, a week or two ago. Take a look real quick.
This just into CNN, a Southwest jet had a near collision with a private plane at Midway Airport in Chicago. This happened Monday. CNN aviation correspondent Pete Montine is back. Walk us through what happened.
Well,
It happened at Midway Airport. It happened this morning, not Monday. Pete, take it away.
This morning at about 10:50 Central Standard Time, this Southwest flight, Southwest 2504, and you can see in the video from plane spotters here, was coming into land on Midway's 3-1 Center. Very busy airport, huge hub for Southwest Airlines. This is what's called a go-around or an aborted landing. You may have experienced this on a commercial flight. Usually pilots do this when the approach is unstable or there's wind or there's wind shear. In this case, this is called a runway incursion, meaning an airplane on the runway where there shouldn't be. That's the private jet, the Challenger 350 there, taxiing out in front of this flight. The crew artfully of the Southwest flight does a go-around, pitches up, and climbs back into the air to come back around for a successful landing. Obviously, nobody hurt in this, but this is a narrative, just one more example in a narrative of incidents that we have seen since the start of 2023. And the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, has investigated a significant number of these incidents that came within very close, we're talking feet away from a possible collision. JFK, Austin, Boston, Burbank, the list really goes on. Seems likely that this would end up not only under FAA investigation, but also under NTSB investigation, because the alarm bells have been there for a long time. Why are airplanes able to get so close to each other when air traffic controllers are responsible for keeping the runway safe and clear? There are a lot of factors here, and of course we're still at the very, very early stages of this, so don't want to speculate, although you have to talk about this while mentioning air traffic controllers are under an incredible amount of stress right now. You have to connect it back to the big story. DOJ is making cuts at the FAA right now, and also FAA controllers just had to essentially justify their jobs with 5 bullet points to Elon Musk. 10,000 of them responsible for controlling the airspace in the national airspace system. And many of them are working mandatory 6-day weeks of 10-hour shifts. We're talking mandatory overtime. The Southwest crew did the right thing here. People ask me all the time, why is there a go-around? This was the right call. You can always go around and fly back into the air and come back around and try another landing. The big question is, why did that private jet enter onto that runway when this passenger jet, this Southwest flight, was moments away from landing? Very scary.
Yeah, that looked like very quick thinking by that Southwest pilot. Thank you so much for bringing that to us, Pete.
And these are still anecdotes.
Yeah.
And flying is still very safe, but it's really hard not to get in your head about.
You have data.
Yeah, I would just say that, if you look at the NTSB data from January, in fact, it was the safest January on record when you combine both general and, of course, commercial aviation. But the bottom line is I'm still freaked out as well, despite what the data says.
I think we're looking for improvement here in that system. And what's missing here in this conversation about chaos is any sense that things are improving. And hearing Pete talk about people working 10-hour days, 6 days a week, doesn't engender a lot of confidence in the way that system is set up or where it's going at this point in time.
Yeah, so there we are. People are working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. That's crazy. And we're having all these near-death experiences on the runway. MD, what do you think here about that?
That was definitely anecdotal. That particular instance, I don't constitute it as anything. But if I was to put anything on it from a macro level, it does show just the lack of coordination when it comes to what's going on in the FFA right now, as it pertains to the lack of manpower and the cuts. You know what I'm saying? That's just a fact. Hell, this may be anecdotal too, but if you use the excuse of working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, it should be tens of thousands of truck wrecks which it probably is. Hell, I don't know what the statistics is, but I mean, based off that logic, it should be like catastrophic truck wrecks every day. And like I said, that might be the case. I don't know. But from that instance, yeah, it's just sad to see that we've gotten this low when it comes, and this is me putting my progressive hat on. That we've gotten so low as far as the value of workers, just in general, that we don't value what they do as far as running the country, because ultimately that's who run the country, the workers. And like I said, if everybody just said the hell with it and shut it down tomorrow, the country would shut down. Like everything, it kaput. We know this. That's the power of workers. You know what I mean? Lenin said it best. You know what I mean? He wasn't lying. At the end of the day, we have to understand what the function is of everybody. That's whether you're a federal worker, general labor, so on and so forth. If we don't put any value in the worker, you get the result as what we're getting right now. That's just a fact. We all want more money in our pocket, but we all also want a functioning society as it pertains to the everyday stuff that we do. I'm an individualist, but I ain't stupid. I understand that it's cogs in the machine that must be ran proficiently in order for this thing called America to work. That's just a fact. Everybody got their place. Everybody got their job. Know your role, shut your mouth. As long as we can do that and do it proficiently, we'll be okay. But you can't take advantage of that particular, I guess you would say, position as it pertains to what you think is needed or not. Because at the end of the day, that's all it is. You think this particular thing, whatever it may be, isn't needed. Because you would rather see more proficiency in this other particular thing. Or it possibly could be you want to see more money in your pocket at the detriment of somebody else. And it shouldn't be like that in this society. If I'm gonna look at it from a capitalist perspective, and as they always say, it's enough money to go around. We see that, obviously. But you got to value each individual cog in the machine. If you don't do that, it's bound to fail. And that's just a fact. Even to the point where planes crashing into each other.
All right, thanks, MD. Now, Ricardo, you made some great points earlier tonight about Canada and their position. There is a video here I want to show and then get your thoughts on pertaining to what's going on here with Canada.
Day 51 of the second Trump presidency, and the lights are flashing red on Donald Trump's handling of the economy. What was once thought to be, at least by him, his political calling card. A sudden announcement of new tariffs against Canada is delivering another shock to the markets. The Dow down nearly 400 points today after dropping more than 700 points at its lowest. That's after Donald Trump took to social media to announce that he was raising tariffs on aluminum and steel from Canada 25%, doubling the tariffs he imposed last week. They are supposedly, again, in Trump's telling, in response to Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who's appeared on this program recently, slapping a surcharge on electricity imported by American households. But Trump added that the only solution to the trade war he started is for Canada to become the 51st American state. An absurd, an embarrassing demand for America, one that no American president in history has ever made. It's inexplicable and inexcusable to just about everyone. It's a demand that has been rebuffed over and over and over again by our friend Canada. Here's the incoming Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney.
There's someone who's trying to do the opposite. There's someone who's trying to weaken our economy. Yeah, Donald Trump. Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, as we know, has put, as the Prime Minister just said, unjustified tariffs on what we build, on what we sell, on how we make a living. He's attacking Canadian families, workers, and businesses, and we cannot let him succeed. And we won't. We won't. The Americans want our resources, our water, our land, our country. Think about it. If they succeeded, they would destroy our way of life. America is not Canada. And Canada never, ever will be part of America in any way, shape, or form. Look.
Imagine someone saying that about us. Quote, they would destroy our way of life. It's us, Americans, because of Donald Trump. The source tells NBC News that Trump is heavily focused on annexing Canada in private musings and conversations, that he's deadly serious about making Canada part of the United States of America. For now, the trade war is hurting both countries. Ontario Premier Doug Ford making it clear that Donald Trump owns and is responsible for all of the damage he's doing to both nations' economies. Here's what he had to say on MSNBC earlier.
It's going to hurt your manufacturing. You need the aluminum. You need our high-grade nickel. And I want to send more high-grade nickel. You need our electricity. You need the 4.3 million barrels of oil that gets shipped down. I want to make sure we build an AMCAN fortress, the two greatest countries in the world. And I stress, this is not the American people. Canadians know it. And if we go into a recession, it's self-made by one person. It's called President Trump's recession, which shouldn't be this way. We should be booming both countries right now.
In a statement posted in the last hour, Premier Ford said he spoke to Trump's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, and has agreed to talks with him. The tariffs imposed on electricity coming in from Ontario have been suspended for now. It remains to be seen if Trump backs down from his tariff threat as well. Here in the U.S., the sudden on-again, off-again, on-again, off-again, and the reversals and the chaos caused by Donald Trump and his tariffs have led to some buyer's remorse from investors. New York Times reporting this, quote, investors have said they're struggling to understand the administration's messaging on tariffs. Having previously thought Trump's more extreme tariff rhetoric was mostly a negotiating tool, investors have started to worry that they may have been too blasé about the risks inherent in his strategy.
All right, Ricardo. So are the dastardly Americans going to upend the way of life in Canada?
I'm gonna say hell to the no to that one. That's not gonna happen. Not in our lifetime. And yet, for the megamaniacs, I think that this sounds plausible. It's not. I mean, can America try? Absolutely. Would they succeed? No. There's a number of things that will go into this that could go horribly wrong, and I'm gonna tell you why. So his idea is to annex Canada because of the resources. Again, Canada is the second largest landmass on Earth. There is more water in Canada than anywhere else on Earth. Let that sink into your brain. We have more fresh water in the border of Canada than anywhere else in the world. In addition to that, there's a lot of resources, including oil. that is present. But the problem that he will face with that is that Britain is tied so heavily to the hip to Canada that even the sovereign of Great Britain is Canadian. Under law, it doesn't state it, but technically the sovereign of Great Britain is the Canadian sovereign. We never got rid of our connection to Britain, and that would be a big, huge problem for Donald Trump, because then Britain gets involved. Where there's Britain, there's NATO. When there's NATO, there's everybody else collectively in terms of allies, and that becomes a problem. So you have to look at the game of brinksmanship. The enemy of my enemy is my best friend, right? So you always remember that when you're thinking of brinksmanship, you're going to think of the enemy of my enemy is my best friend. So you're going to face Britain, and then on top of that, Quebec, which is the only connection other than North America for France would be New Orleans, but New Orleans is a state. So Quebec is the largest French-speaking distinctive, I guess, region outside of Europe or France. And France would then get involved because France also has assets that's within Canada. So there's a whole surplus of things that gets involved. In fact, France sent a submarine to within the St. Lawrence Seaway today. So that signals a lot. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that I think this is my problem. And I've always said this. A lot of Americans, and no offense to UMD, but there's a lot of moronic Americans that are out there that don't know geography, one, they don't study history, two, and they don't know the complexities that comes with learning a lot of things. So when they hear morons like Donald Trump say, oh, I'm going to annex and I'm going to do this, Canada will never allow that. They will fight to the very end. They will kill you if they have to protect their sovereignty. That is very significant. We've heard years ago when they were like, oh, we're going to take the Northwest Passage. No, what the hell, you will not. The Northwest Passage belongs to Canada. It's within Canadian territory. You will not do that. They've given pushback. There's oil, there's pipelines. Canada will shut it off if it has to. It will shut down electricity if it has to. Their sovereignty, their way of life is more important than either anything else. When it comes to sports, you will see that. When it comes to the identity of Canada, they will showcase it a lot. That flag, that maple leaf flag, significantly stands for a lot. The Great White North is important for one reason. Their way of life, the way they've done stuff, history tells you that. British North America, which is now Canada, has always been that way. When America seceded and decided that it wanted to be independent, and went independent in 1776, there was a war that went into effect. And could Canada have been a part of the United States? Absolutely. But you know who fought the whole time? British North America, which is now Canada. It burned down, in fact, invaded this country, United States, twice, and burned down the White House in the process. And just to show you how nice Canada was, they decided to leave the country. They could have invaded the whole entire United States and destroyed it, but decided to be nice and pull back and left. You guys don't learn that in history, but it's there. There's a lot there in terms of context. So we know that in terms of learning history from Canada, but you guys don't know it here. But there's a lot in saying that. So I'll say this to say this to all the Magamanians that think, oh, it's an easy walk in the park. Oh, no, there isn't. In fact, I can go on record and tell you there are forts everywhere along that border that will protect Canada. It's just like if you try to invade Switzerland, you'll be amazed at how much protection that there is for Switzerland in terms of bunkers. Canada has the same thing. They have a lot, and history will tell you that. Because if you try to invade it, like Russia tried to do with their reconnaissance and surveillance when they fly over with all these things, they know. So, that's why there's so much cooperation between the U.S. and history, where they have NORAD and they've had a multitude of things like Cheyenne and in the Colorados and all of that. Everything is connected because there's no need for Canada to go against the U.S. It's the 49th parallel has been there for years. Donald Trump is not going to change that. I doubt it very much. But it's amazing just to sit back and watch the Republicans who have for years, that's how I know Reagan is spitting in his grave right now, that they've never, when it comes to any country's sovereignty, they don't play around with that. But somehow they're listening to this moron who doesn't know geography, doesn't know history well, is saying he's going to annex a country. Does this sound familiar to y'all? It should. because this is the same thing that Russia tried to do with Ukraine, and this is why Ukraine cannot lose the war. You cannot invade a sovereign country and claim it back. That's not how that works. Once it's sovereign, once it's independent, there's a lot that came to this. If you don't remember your history, this is how World War I started. Then World War II. Are we going to head into World War III? We'll see. But I call a bluff when I see one. Donald Trump is doing the most because it's a distraction tactic. But if he really thinks he's going to do it, I call his bluff. Try it. See how it's going to work out for you in the end. I give you that.
All right, Ricardo. MD, final sign off for the night, please.
Yeah, man. Good show as always, man. Pertinent topics tonight. Pertinent topics. A hell of a lot of stuff going on, man. I may try to do a stream Thursday because I really want to talk about what's going on with this Perkins and Coie situation with this law firm. To me, this is, and again, I seem like I say it every week, but I think this particular situation, taking away the security clearance, launching an investigation against a law firm, is probably the most egregious thing. That just beat out the thing that I thought was more egregious than that, the Mahmoud Khalil situation in New York. They kidnapped this person and said that they were going to deport him basically for nothing. Like, it don't get more authoritarian than that. So yeah, I wanna try to focus on those two things and see if we can't unpack everything that's going on right now. And we'll see what happens with this Ukraine situation. We'll see if Russia take the ceasefire deal. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff happening, man. It's coming on too fast. Coming on too fast. But with that, I say peace.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
All right, MD, thank you. Ricardo, final sign off, sir.
Yeah, a lot to unpack as well. I'm just in awe in what we're seeing unfold in front of our eyes. I think a lot of people again experiencing voters' remorse, but this is what you guys do or get when you don't do your research and due diligence. So I'm eating my popcorn like I told y'all I was going to do last year. But yeah, there's a lot to be unpacked here. Zelensky in Saudi Arabia is very interesting. I'm not quite sure why that came to be, but I think Saudi Arabia has been very diplomatic lately, where it's like they're being Switzerland for some reason, which is very bizarre to me. And then there's a whole plethora of things coming down the pipeline where we're trying to see if NATO and if the U.S. is still going to be a part of NATO, or are they going to go it alone without America involved. I don't know what is going on in the world of politics and geopolitics and what we're seeing with the United States now. And is it a situation where the U.S. now is waning in power and China is now being looked at as the next replacer to it? How Britain was, in the same situation where the U.S. took over from Britain. I don't know. It's just the context of all this is strange. But tune into Tape Fist Politics for the next episode. We'll see what happens from there on out. So I implore y'all, just stay tuned, eat your popcorn, and Flamin' Elmo will be here to stay.
God bless you. God bless Israel. God bless the Palestinians, and God bless the United States. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, so we're about to sign off for the night. We'll be back next week. Next week episode, of course, is going to be the Politics of Sex 3. So until then, next week, we'll see you all for that show. Peace to Mr. Straight Talk. Peace to Tequila, Bones, Zay, everyone else associated with the Straight Talk Society. We will be back again for another deep show. And until then, keep your mouse transgenderless, and be safe out there. Peace.
She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to. Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's. That's terrible. Terrible.